wrote at 30,000 feet. What goes to sit? 30,000 seats. Had to get out of reach to know nothing's out of reach. Mama said she was proud of me, man. And I believe that we all come with wings, and we all come in peace, and we all come to be forever, forever, and ever.
I believe we all come with wings, we all come in peace, we all come to be forever and ever and ever and ever. I believe we all come with wings, we all come in peace, we all come to be forever and ever and ever and ever.
ADT, they lock doors. APC, I cop more. I know I gotta pray to God more. My vision getting tainted a lot more. Face of magazine pages a lot more. And I can see it in their face a lot more. I know that I've been drinking a lot more. Savion Blanc, I faded a lot more. Me and Josh rock about boy. You talk about hits, you talk about this, you talk about mine, let's talk about yours. No, I'm at the top of your list. Let's talk about grind, let's talk about time. See, I won't be fine till top is off floor. If you can't top this, then please don't talk. Let's change the topic, cause I am not for it. 30,000 feet. Now that's real, real high. Really when you peer outside, it's what you feel inside. Their whole career's a facade. Can't even look me in my eyes. Got a head full of steam and a heart full of pride. And I came in the game with a bill like a bride. I'm the one with the stripes, old penny. In my lifetime, there's only been one Whitney, one Daryl, one DeWan, and one Denny. 3 Michaels, 1 Barry, and 1 Griffin. New edition, Bob Mike, Ron Ricky. Ground floor and low sport top, a cop thrifting. With the ends low, that's the low end. Theory, young James finna blow. Yo, kid, never when the going gets tough and the tough gets going. And your eyes start flowing and your heart gets weary. And your days turn to months and your months turn yearly. And the years go by and the hills have by. Trying to kill my vibe or y'all gon' kill me. Either way I live on, either soul or song. Cause I'm still holding on to what y'all won't give me. Can't stop, won't stop, no God gon' hit me. Cause I wrote it at 30,000 feet.
I can't hear a thing. All I see is blue, but I feel everything. All I see is blue. I can't hear a thing. All I see is blue, but I feel everything. I believe we all come with wings, we all come in peace, we all come to be forever and ever and ever and ever. I believe we all come with wings, we all come in peace, we all come to be forever and ever and ever and ever.
I wrote at 30,000 feet. What goes to sit? 30,000 seats. Had to get out of reach to know nothing's out of reach. Mama said she was proud of me, man. And I believe that we all come with wings, and we all come in peace, and we all come to be forever, forever, and ever.
I believe we all come with wings, we all come in peace, we all come to be forever and ever and ever and ever. I believe we all come with wings, we all come in peace, we all come to be forever and ever and ever and ever.
ADT, they lock doors. APC, I cop more. I know I gotta pray to God more. My vision getting tainted a lot more. Face of magazine pages a lot more. And I can see it in their face a lot more. I know that I've been drinking a lot more. Savion Blanc, I faded a lot more. Me and Josh rock about boy. You talk about hits, you talk about this, you talk about mine, let's talk about yours. No, I'm at the top of your list. Let's talk about grind, let's talk about time. See, I won't be fine till top is off floor. If you can't top this, then please don't talk. Let's change the topic, cause I am not for it. 30,000 feet. Now that's real, real high. Really when you peer outside, it's what you feel inside. Their whole career's a facade. Can't even look me in my eyes. Got a head full of steam and a heart full of pride. And I came in the game with a bill like a bride. I'm the one with the stripes, old penny. In my lifetime, there's only been
Mad Church Disease, a channel that's all about current events, news, and Christian drama. A channel that's dedicated to our forgotten brothers and sisters throughout the ages. Our brothers and sisters who courageously stepped outside the safe bounds of institutional Christianity to tell the truth. A channel whose goal is to help the average person understand that Jesus plus nothing is everything. So, like, comment, subscribe, and smash the notifications button to be a part of this channel.
Hey everybody, thank you guys so very much for coming to the Mad Church Disease channel. I am very glad that you are joining me on today. I'm going to be bringing myself up on the screen here in just a second. Thank you guys for joining me. Hello everybody, and thank you and welcome to the Mad Church Disease podcast. Excited to see you on tonight. Shout out to all of you that are in the chat. Ava Collier, of course, a faithful woman of God. Thank you so very much. James Wesley, thank you for being here with me on tonight. Moni No Love, what's up? Patsy, what's up, everybody? If you guys could do me the awesome favor of sharing this broadcast. If you are watching this, make sure you put this on your social media. Make sure that you spread this as far and wide as we possibly can, so we can get some new eyes on the Mad Church Disease channel. Well, believe it or not, the channel is yet still growing. As the scripture says, the Lord added to the church daily, and we are adding subscribers to the channel on a daily basis. And I want to welcome all of you that are here on the Mad Church Disease podcast. This podcast, of course, is a podcast that likes to deal with, current events and anything that's going on. But primarily, ladies and gentlemen, we really focus on our forgotten brothers and sisters who stepped out of the boundaries of institutional Christianity to simply tell the truth. And nothing is going to be any different than today. And here is Daryl Moore. Hey, Daryl Moore, I'd like to see you there. Well, if there is a PPP loan, well, I heard that too, Daryl. I looked into it. It's apparently for those individuals who were just lying on those applications about their employees and how many employees they had. And so they are compiling a warrant list for individuals who have, who just lied about all of those employees that they claim they had. And I'm quite sure there'll be some other individuals that will have to deal with that at another particular point in time. But hello, everybody. Thank y'all so very much for joining me. I'm so glad to have you guys here with me on today. Sarita, is it Faison? I hope I'm saying your name right. Hey, Sarita. Hey, Misha. Good to see you here. Joshua, good to see you here as well. I'm so grateful for all of you that are coming in. If you are watching me on Facebook, can you do me the awesome favor of giving me some hearts? And possibly if you want to support the channel, you can, of course, give me some stars over there as well. Rosalind, it's good to see you here as well. Veronica, good to see you here as well. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button as you are coming in, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about on tonight. First and foremost, let me just simply say I did not want to talk about politics at all. Every now and then you guys heard me say a couple of things about Donald Trump, but I never really dived into the political aspect, and there were reasons. Yes, and I'm gonna be talking about the Menendez brothers. Actually, they're going to be the first set of people that I talk about tonight, and then we're going to get into this other stuff. So, angels, yes, I definitely heard about it. Unfortunately, I heard about it. And I'm probably having a difference of opinion than everybody. They belong in jail. They should stay in jail. And that's just how I feel about that. But anyway, but I want to thank all of you for supporting the program and so forth. Let me just give you guys a little bit of an update. I am getting very close to being able to handle a major responsibility that I have. After that is taken care of, I should be allowed to have more time to free up to produce more content and to produce content on a more excellent level. A lot of the content that I'm producing on the channel is kind of, I feel like I'm rushing a little bit, and I'm not able to edit it and to do it in an exceptional manner the way that I would normally do it. Now, I don't have a team. At the present time, it's just me primarily working on all of this stuff. And so my team, I kind of had to let them go. And so, but I'm going to be trying to bring some more people on and some stuff to help me. But I thank all of you who are supporting the channel, and I really, really do appreciate it. So I just want to say that thank you. If you have not yet supported the Mad Church Disease channel, now would be a great time to do it. I've got about I've got some stuff that I need to take care of. So it's just, and I don't want to go there, but y'all, you just buy a membership, support the channel, Cash App, all that information is in there. All right. So now we need the program. Not like to hold you. Fortunately, I'm going to have to talk about this particular situation first. Lau and Eric Menendez are two rich children who decided to off their parents. While was going on, they were making all of these claims about their father, saying their father molested them. They were just doing just all this kind of stuff, right? And they were making all of these salacious claims. These claims were not made until they blew their father's head almost completely off, blew their mother away, and tried to hide evidence, tried to pretend like they hadn't done anything. At one point, from what I understand in this story, these boys shot their parents and then went back and reloaded. Now, apparently, they are being there's going to be a new resentencing. I'm gonna let you watch this information that I was able to gather on this situation, and we're gonna watch it together. But I'm actually kind of quite disgusted by it. And to tell you the truth, I'm just disgusted by it. I really am. I'm disgusted by it. Let me take off my other stuff on the screen here. It's just, the whole thing is just disgusting to me. But anyway, let's go ahead and share this particular situation. I'm gonna let you guys hear what this is, and we're going to talk about it, and so that way you guys can see it, and I'll give some commentary to it. So here we go. This is what's going on in California. Well, in California, it seems like we just want to let all the criminals out. I don't know what the, and I'm trying not to curse tonight, so y'all pray for me. But let's hear this. Y'all let me make sure y'all can hear everything well. Here we go.
To tell you unequivocally that we don't have a universal agreement. There are people in the office that strongly believe that the Menendez brothers should stay in prison the rest of their life, and they do not believe that they were molested. And there are people in the office that strongly believe that they should be released immediately and that they were in fact molested. I have to tell you that after a very careful review of all the arguments that were made for people on both sides of this equation, I came to a place where I believe that under the law, resentencing is appropriate, and I am going to recommend that to a court tomorrow. What that means in this particular case is that we're going to recommend to the court that the life without the possibility of parole.
Daryl says that you guys have no sound. So are you guys with no sound? Let me see. Oh no. I had sound. So Daryl, if you don't have sound, you need to turn something up.
Be removed, and that they would be sentenced for murder, which, because there are two murders involved, that will be 50 years to life. However, because of their age, under the law, since they were under 26 years of age at the time that these crimes occurred, they will be eligible for parole immediately. The teams that have worked on this, on the resentencing side of it, have spent literally
So bottom line, he's saying with the resentencing and because of their age, when they resentence these jokers are going to be walking the streets again. And so that is the scariest thought. And hopefully, which I know is not going to happen, they're going to transfer them probably to another state or get them. Hopefully they would get them out of here. But this is what we're dealing with here in California. You know, we got a district attorney who he would pardon Charles Manson. But anyway, here we go.
probably hundreds of hours by now looking at this case. These cases were originally presented on the habeas side of it, which I'll explain in a moment what that is, last year, and then the request for a prosecutor-initiated resentencing occurred earlier this year. And there have been people in this office working in these cases from the very beginning, as well as many other cases that we have. The reason why I'm here today and why I came in front of all of you about 10 days ago is because there was a more recent documentary about the case that again brought a tremendous amount of public attention. And we know there have been other documentaries, so this is not the first, this is the more recent one.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right here because I just can't believe this ridiculous bull jive. So he's saying the reason why he's coming before everybody again right now is because of a recent documentary. Ladies and gentlemen, if Lyle and Kyle Menendez, is Lyle and Eric, may as well be Kyle. If their names were Tyrone and Leroy, we would not be having this situation, and they would know. There are so many African American men who are sitting behind bars who are completely innocent that even after having documentaries and even after the Innocence Project and so many other people coming forward, they have opted to not pay that any attention. I am disgusted by this. And it's just disgusting. Now, for those of you that, because we have a lot of new viewers who view the Mad Church Disease channel. And I know most of the time when I talk to all of my white friends, some of my white friends, not too much of them anymore. But in the beginning, for those of you that are watching the broadcast, the first thing that my white friends would say is, Marcellus, why are you making this about race? It's always the first thing they always say to me. And I tell them because Black people in America have been taught to view everything through the lens of race. It is very, very difficult for us to see circumstances and situations and not view them through the lens of race. When you look at Lyle and Eric Menendez, and one of the brothers, from what I understand, got married, right? So he got married while he was in prison. God help that woman. But there's so many reasons why this is disgusting to me. There are many Black young women who go missing in this country, who can't even get mentioned on the news. These people come and hold a whole press conference to tell you that these two white gentlemen are getting out of jail. There are some people, that they release out of jail, and you don't even know that they've gotten out of jail, right? And they just released them in the middle of the night. No help. I'll give you a perfect example. There was no fanfare, no nothing. A couple of weeks ago, I was at the gas station and I saw this Black guy. He had on a whole white jumpsuit, some orange flip-flops, and he had like a plastic bag in his hand. And I knew he had just gotten out of jail. And he was just standing around the gas station, sitting around the gas station, because he literally had nowhere to go. Okay. And what bothers me about situations like them and like this is that our whole prison system is built to support certain individuals over other individuals. This entire case reeks. Now I'm gonna give you another scenario, and this some of you are just not going to like what I'm about to say. Scott Peterson, the man who was accused of murdering his pregnant wife, there was more evidence against Eric and Lyle Menendez than there was against Scott Peterson. Scott Peterson went to jail because there was hair, a string of hair found on a boat that he owned that was stored in a place where he stored, which I'm sure his wife, and according to the testimony, his wife had visited the place where his boat was. He was sent to jail on the most smallest of minute of circumstances. There was an overwhelming amount of evidence against Lyle and Eric Menendez. And to me, this prosecutor is doing is he is setting murderers free. He is about to set people free who have done some of one of the most heinous crimes that could be possibly done. Now, I worked with the families to amend California's 3 strikes law. I personally did that. If you go and you look on my channel, you will find me with a bullhorn in my hand and me going out trying to change the law, because I'm just not a person who talks about things. I'm somebody who gets actively involved. And to see these kind of people to be set back on our streets, this is ridiculous. When I was protesting, and the things that I was protesting for was non-violent offenders, these people blew their parents to smithereens. Okay? And we need to be able to understand and realize what actually transpired between these two people. These two boys were indignant. They were unrepentant until their little curly-haired lawyer got up there and they concocted this scenario and this story to get these boys out of prison. They concocted this story years ago, and now they done put out this stupid documentary, and now all of a sudden everybody's supposed to set these boys free. This is the most disgusting, vile thing, and I'm just disgusted by it. I do not agree with it. If their names were Tyrone and Leroy, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Okay, there are other people that are on death row right now that I can remember. There was a black woman, I forget her name. They murdered that girl, that lady, and that lady had all kinds of mental issues. I'm gonna go find, I think her name was Norma Jean something, or I can't remember her name right now. I remember watching her documentary and watching what happened to her, and that thing bringing tears to my eyes, because, and even when you watched her, you knew she had some mental deficiencies, but they murdered her anyway. But to set these jokers free, why wasn't life in prison without the possibility of parole the option? Why couldn't we just say, okay, you murdered your parents, you blew their heads off, we're going to keep you in jail? You understand what I'm saying? Just put you in jail. We're just gonna put you in jail. That's what you're gonna do, and that's what you're gonna say. And that's just how it's gonna be. And I'm just disgusted by it. I'm disgusted by it. That's just my own personal opinion. It's gross to me. Yeah, it's gross. It's gross. And I agree with you, Misha. I'm sorry. And Daryl, yeah, I think her name was Norma Jean something. And they killed that woman. They killed her and put her on freaking death row, and they murdered that girl. And I understand, Lord, I'm about to get myself in a whole lot of trouble. I'm trying not to curse. You know what I'm praying for? I'm praying that Northwest relationship with God gets deeper and deeper. And boy, that's going to be like a heaping coal on the top of Kim Kardashian's head. Because she already be getting on Kim's nerves, and you can tell. But God doesn't. There's something going on there. Y'all pay close attention to that Northwest, because Northwest is driving Kim crazy. But anyway, I don't even want to talk about that nasty person. Somebody said my sound is too low. My sound is too low. I don't know what to tell you. If you're having a difficult time hearing me, let me see if my sound is too low. Okay, my sound is fine. I don't know. Maybe that's just you. Sorry, whoever that is. Turn up your volume, because I can't help you there. Um, yeah, I think Ava. Her name was Norma Jean. I'll never forget that documentary. As long as I live, I'll never forget that. And they killed that lady. They killed her. And yes, she did a crime. But you could tell, you know, you could tell that lady has some mental deficiencies, and that's just a fact of the matter. Fact of the matter. Fact of it's sad that they should allow that kind of stuff to go on, in my humble opinion. All right, now, just before we move on to the next story, let me just remind you guys, if you want to support the channel, you can do so by hitting up Cash App, or you can purchase yourself a membership. Please make sure that you do that. That's how the channel is sustained. That's how I'm able to continue to make content, and that's how I'm able to continue to spread the message of our forgotten brothers and sisters who have stepped out of the safe bounds of Christianity to tell it like it TI is, and just tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth. And we're about to get into some holy truth right now, and y'all really pray for me that I don't get to going off the rails here. Let's talk a little bit about, there has been a story, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it was Wanda Jean. That was her name. Okay, it was Wanda Jean. Thank you, Lynn. See, I don't even remember the name. I kept calling her Norma Jean. But yeah, I was devastated by that story. Absolutely devastated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the gentleman that you see on your screen right now, his name is Donnie Swaggart. Donnie is the son of Jimmy Swaggart. Now, if you have not lived long enough to know who Jimmy Swaggart is, um, Jimmy Swaggart was a Pentecostal preacher. I believe he's down there in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Moni, thank you so much for pointing that out. Before I get to this next story, because we got some stuff to go into, and I'm going to show you some things here in a minute, can I please get the almost 200 of you who are watching me right now to please hit the like button. There's almost 200 of you. There's over 200 of you from my other screen that are watching. I need y'all to hit the like button, especially if you're over there on YouTube. So I'm going to take a moment and pause here for just a second, because I have some other stuff that I need to show you, and I want to get into some other stuff. But I need to make sure that we're sharing this and that we can get some favor with the algorithm. So with the 200 of you, go and hit the like button right now. Please hit the like button. I'll just take a moment and watch the likes go up here. So I'm gonna wait on you. Thank you so very much, and thank y'all so much. Please hit the like button, because I do have some more stuff that I would like to share with you, and I want to go ahead and go on with the program. And I know some content creators like to create these polls and ask you before you get in, did you hit the like button? But I'm not going to do that. Thank you, Patsy, for hitting the like button. I appreciate it. The rest of you, please hit the like button. Thank y'all so much. Please. I see 81 of you now have hit the like button. Please, for those of you that are in the bushes, the other 100 or so of you that are watching the program that are scared to fall out of the bushes and hit the like button, thank you so very much, Kelly. That's now got us over to 81. Can y'all please hit the like button? I would really appreciate it. Can we get to 100 likes before I continue with this story? Because I got some stuff to talk about Clarence. And I need to get to, and I hate doing this, y'all. Anybody who watches me, y'all know I normally don't even stop to do this like other content creators, but today I am, because I worked hard on this program today, and I really would like to get this program out, and I want you guys to hit the like button, because I promise you I'm going to share you some information with you that you have probably never heard, and because I appreciate it. Southern Breeze, thank y'all so much. I've got 96 likes on the program right now. We're about to cross over the 100-mile mark for likes. So if I can get a couple of more of you guys to hit the like button, I would really appreciate it. So that, yeah. And while you guys are hitting the like button, let me go back up here. Somebody said all the brothers serving sentences wrongfully. There's a whole bunch of brothers who are doing that. Felix, a whole lot. Yeah, and they killed her, Wanda Jean. They most certainly did. They killed her. And many of you may not have known that. And while you guys are, I'm waiting. While you guys are hitting the like button, you guys may not have known that at the time. Okay, I got over 100 likes. Thank y'all so much. Almost 200 of y'all, so I should have at least 150. I'm doing good. Thank you so much for asking. All right. Many of you don't know, but I'll come back to that in a minute. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. The man that you see on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, his name is Donnie Swaggart. Donnie Swaggart is the son of Jimmy Swaggart. If you are unfamiliar or you're a young person and you may not be aware of the fact that Jimmy Swaggart was a mega star in the 80s. He was a mega fire and brimstone kind of preacher. He was the kind of preacher that would preach messages about sin and sex. And he was a sex-crazed maniac of a preacher who was always telling folks about, sexual sin, etc., etc. Well, Donnie's father, Jimmy, was the man who was caught perusing around in Louisiana late at night looking for prostitutes. And he eventually had to come before the congregation with tears streaming down his face, with a quivering lip to declare, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." Now, if you are familiar with that story, you will understand that story sent shockwaves throughout the entire church community. Now, Donnie's father, Jimmy, was a very rich Pentecostal televangelist back in the day who owned a tremendous amount of property. Many people thought that Jimmy Swaggart would just rescind into the shadows and the abyss of his perusing for prostitutes, into the shadows of that. But because he owned so much property and because he was so popular, this particular preacher and his son have risen from the ashes of the abyss of their prostituting, perusing lifestyles, and they have pretty much reemerged onto the Christian stage. And they were able to do that with light tricks and camera tricks. They would put black, curtains in the back, to hide all of the empty seats and the chairs that they had because of the 6 people that was in their congregations, much like a lot of these other preachers and pastors who no longer have churches, who now have to come online and just simply ask you to give them all of their money because they're quote unquote so prophetic, and they have to give, and do all of these fundraising types of things that they're doing. And, so this past week, Donnie decided that he would come out and he would talk about the Black church. And I'm going to get into this. I'm going to get into this in a minute. You guys, what this ninja said.
Now I'm fixing to make some people mad right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be, for the statement I'm about to make, I'm going to be called a racist. And I will be called every name under the sun. But somebody needs to stand up and speak to the Black church. When the largest African-American Pentecostal denomination, when that leader stands up and said, "I endorse that woman," he was saying, "I endorse murder. I endorse homosexuality. I endorse lesbianism. I endorse transgenderism. I endorse every evil that hell could prosper or bring up to the right." That's wrong, folks. And the Black church votes predominantly for the party that is anti-God. What's going on here? What's going on? See, my statement statement to them is this. We've had them call into the program. Hey, I don't like it when you talk about myself. Well, no, the problem is they don't like it because we're stepping on their toes. Hello? They're cowards. You see, listen. Whenever you take a stand like I'm taking, there will be some people leave the church. There will some people get mad and walk out. But understand this, I don't work for you. I don't work for you. I work for the Lord. I'm a Christian.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's a whole lot there in that particular video. And I have to be honest with you, I don't even know where to start. I've stayed away from this political stuff because, number one, I have come to realize as a Christian that the political scene and politics in America have nothing to do with God. Let me be very clear. We are citizens of another kingdom. And I am quite tired of white evangelicals, most certainly, especially, trying to tell me what and how I should feel and how I should vote when it comes to certain issues. Let me be very clear, ladies and gentlemen. The whole system is wicked. There is nothing godly about the political system at all. And let me go a little step further. There is nothing godly about the world that we live in. Let me just simply tell you, every single thing about this entire system and this entire world is ungodly. For those of you that are clenching on to your 15-pound Bible and your 10-pound cross, and you're taking the position that, oh, I'm going to support one party or another party, let me be very clear. We live on the earth. We live and have to participate in a wicked system, just like Jesus had to do it in his day, but trying to pretend as if one party is more holier than another party, I am over it. And let me be very clear. I made this decision years ago, but I am really in a different place and space when it comes to white evangelicals and black evangelicals, for that matter, who are coming on this political scene to tell me who and what I should do as far as who I should vote for. That's one point I'd like to make. Many of you have already started talking about that statement that he made, and I want to find it. Somebody who said it here. Let me go back up here. Somebody said it. Okay. Yeah. Disrespectful. He didn't even want to say the woman's name. He going to talk about that woman. So he didn't want to call Kamala by her name. He going to refer to her as that woman. Y'all listen to me very clear. That in itself was racist. Okay. And Donnie, you are going to be called a racist because that is what you are. I am just not one of these people that are on the internet who will not call a spade a spade. The reason why people support the Mad Church Disease channel, and the reason why you all come by this channel, and the reason why over 300 of you are watching me right now live, the reason why y'all come over here and some of y'all are scared to let me know you're over here is because you know when you come over here, I'm going to give you the raw, relevant truth of the matter. And I am tremendously angered and pissed off, and I'm choosing my words carefully because I don't want to curse, because I don't want to alienate some of you that are so holy. You know, every time somebody say a cuss word, you want to clench your pearls and go running. Listen to me very carefully. I do not need any preacher, any pastor, any apostle, any bishop to tell me who and how I should vote. You don't get the right to tell me how I should vote. Now, let's talk about ungodly for a minute, Mr. Swaggart. When your father was found not once, but more than twice, perusing and dealing with prostitutes, sir, that was ungodly. Did you get in your bully pulpit and did you call out your father for his mess and for his sin and the things that he did? Of course you didn't do that, Donnie. You just went right about the business of doing what you was doing, right? Then he says, oh, well, the black people predominantly vote for this ungodly party. Let me reiterate to you, they're both ungodly. Neither one of these wings on this nasty bird is godly, sir. And you're not going to pigeonhole me and make me feel a certain type of way because I choose not to vote a certain way. Let me be very clear about that. Now, let me also, ladies and gentlemen, because I person that felt this way, Dr. Frederick Haynes of the church down there in I believe he's in Texas. Let me go over here, ladies and gentlemen, and let me let you hear and Dr. Haynes decided to say about this. And we're going to pull this up. And I want you guys to hear what Dr. Frederick Haynes, one of my favorite preachers, if y'all want to know one of my favorite preachers, he's one of my favorites. But I want you guys to hear what he says in relation to this. And it's about 2 minutes. Let's take a listen.
White churches set the stage for Jim and Jane Crow segregation, and y'all, they have children who are still doing the dirty deed of toxic theology. I saw yesterday that one Donnie Swaggart, who is the son of Jimmy Swaggart, had the nerve from his perch of privilege and prejudice to stand up on a Sunday and call out the black church. Wait, what? He called out the black church. He said, when you support her, didn't even call Kamala Harris by name, but said when you support her, you are supporting sin and evil and supporting all kinds of stuff. Y'all, I'm tripping as this white boy is calling out the black church. Now, let me park here parenthetically and hope that old Donnie tunes in. Donnie, come here for just a second, because first of all, the fact that there is a black church is a judgment on white Christianity, because there would be no black church had the white church not been more white than they are a church. Oh, I'm on one tonight. I'm letting y'all know that right now. And Donnie, my sisters and brothers, had the nerve to call out the black church because in his mindset, we're supporting Kamala Harris, while the white church is supporting Agent Orange, because somehow Agent Orange is the candidate of their God. I get that, because their God ain't my God. My God is the right God who showed up in Exodus on the side of the oppressed. My God is the God of divine justice. My God is the God that so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. You see, God loves the world. I guess who's in that world? Palestinians are in that world. Congolese are in that world. Haitians are in that world. Gay folk are in that world. The LGBTQIA community is in that world. God so loved the world. And if you don't love the world like God loves the world, to hell with you, Donnie.
Yeah, to hell with you, Donnie. To hell with you, Donnie. And that's my thought process. I'm hearing some music. Where's this music coming from? Oh Lord. Oh, that must be. Oh, y'all can't hear it. I'm like, where's that music coming from? Let me go back over here. Let me deal with Donnie. Let me deal with old Donnie. Now, of course, Dr. Frederick Haynes said, and he put it right on out there. Let me be very, very clear. Let me be very clear. I have since given up my quest to be friends with this evangelical world, and I'm gonna enlarge the territory a bit, because there are black preachers who are now speaking and preaching just like Donnie Swaggart, and we're gonna deal with one of them in a minute. I'm gonna probably have to take a break before I even get to that one. Donnie Swaggart and the white evangelicals in this country should, at some particular point, understand. And I want to thank you, Tanika Shanette, for grabbing your membership. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so very much. Thank you. That helps to support the channel, and I appreciate it. Let me be very clear. This is a dangerous, toxic theology that is being perpetrated on all people no matter what race you are. This whole idea that I have to vote a certain way in order to say that I'm on God's side. First of all, God has no side when it comes to this political arena. Now, when I was first coming up in church, they used to always quote to me Romans chapter 12. And they would say to me that, that all men and women who are in leadership, God put them there. And they would quote Romans 12 and say, oh, God sets up these people and these people are in their positions because God put them there. And then I got older and I kept on reading and I lived in the world a little bit longer. And I realized that God, and this is the first thing I'll say, if it don't work everywhere, it don't work nowhere. If I can't take Romans 12 over to Africa and tell those African people who were sitting under apartheid that they had to abide by the apartheid system because God had set their rulers and their leaders up, then that doesn't apply. Or if I can't go to some of these places in Korea and that where these people don't have access to Bibles and tell them that God set up their leadership and that they just need to acquiesce to their leaders and they have to submit themselves to their leaders. If it don't work everywhere, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It don't work nowhere. We live amongst a comfortable situation in America, and we tend to believe that everybody lives the way we live and have all of this freedom like we have, the limited amount of freedom that we have. Let me be very, very clear. Now, let me be clear. You're not going to tell me as a white individual living in America how I am to vote, okay? Now, in full transparency, let me tell you all something. I do not believe in murder of any kind, okay? But I believe in choice. And the reason why I believe in choice is because God gave us choice. And if God can give you choice, other individuals are to let you be able to make the choice. And then you have to deal between your relationship with God and you have to deal with that. That's between you and God, not you, God, and me. And see, here's what we keep doing. We keep trying to put all of this moral crap onto the situation and try and put our little spiritual fairy dust on it and put our spin on it. Let me be very clear. Donnie Swaggart, you are ridiculous. And not only are you ridiculous, Franklin Graham is ridiculous. Not only is Franklin Graham ridiculous, but all of you evangelicals, you white evangelicals in America who keep trying to make people vote a certain way. Now, let me say this, because I feel my help coming on. Hey, glory. See, it's so funny to me how you guys are always throwing up the abortion issue. It's you guys, there's murder. It's murder. And you never have your numbers right, first of all, because you keep trying to say all the black people is the ones who are committing all the abortion, which isn't true, because statistical data tells you that it's actually poor white women and poor people in general that are primarily getting all of these abortions, but that's a whole nother situation. Just like they're the primary ones on welfare, but we don't really talk about that. But then you say, oh, we want to save a life. We want to save a life. Well, wait a minute. If you guys are so into saving lives, wouldn't you be into saving Palestinian lives? Or wait a minute, wouldn't you be into saving the sons and daughters of individuals that are going out and doing all kinds of things and fighting all of this stuff on all of these wars and killing all of these other folks' children? Wouldn't that be all lives? Wait a minute. Wouldn't you want to fund children food programs in America and making sure that children in America have decent food to eat when they go to school? They have a good lunch. Isn't it interesting to me that they fired a white lady here just recently, I saw on the news, for actually feeding children and making sure that children were getting food so that they could go home and they could have some food in their belly? They fired the woman. She was a kitchen cafeteria lady. They fired her because apparently she was giving a little extra food to her children. She was a kitchen cafeteria worker, and she gave a little extra to her children, which probably because she was probably too tired when she got home to cook, because she's over there serving hundreds and hundreds of children, because y'all packing these kids into these classrooms like pack rats, 27 and 30 kids in one classroom, and you expecting these teachers who don't even get paid properly to do exceptional jobs on teaching every darn body. So the whole system is out of whack. Okay, so not only that, so the lady feeds them and she gives them extra food, they fire her. Okay. So if everybody is all up for lives and saving lives and making sure children live, then that has to be not just from the womb, but it also has to be protecting them, all the way to the tomb. Okay. And making sure that their lives are sustainable. Okay. All right. And being able to make sure that these children are able to eat and reap a decent lifestyle and a decent life. Now, let me go up here because I've been talking for so long. I done got mad. Hold on. Let me see. I'm just saying. Oh, Lord. Judith, I don't know who called these people. I don't know who called half of them. Judith. Now, that I don't know. Now, that I do not know. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea who called these people. Now, hold on just a second. Let me get down here because I want to read your comments. This says, just because you vote for Kamala doesn't mean you have to agree with all. Well, I don't agree with everything Kamala does. I don't agree. Everybody knows that. I just told you I don't agree. Well, let me tell you something. As long as you live in this world and you're in this flesh and in this body, you're going to have subject to all sorts of things. We are not in heaven. This is a nasty, dirty, vile earth. Okay. This is not where God lives. God don't live here. Okay. He don't live here. And so stop trying to put me and subjugate me and make me think like you, because I know God doesn't live here. I'm just saying. That's why they want abortion to stop and immigrants to stop coming, because the majority. Yes, of course it is. That's part of the reason. Right. They wouldn't, if they wanted to save lives, they would all be against the death penalty. But they use the Old Testament talking about eye for an eye. That's what I've heard John. What's the dude down there, the fat guy down there in Texas, John Hagee, say the reason why he believes in the death penalty is because of eye for an eye. Well, Jesus came back and said, yeah, that's what you've been told. But Jesus said, I give you a greater command. Lord, I don't have time. I tell you, it's just, it's too much for me. From the womb to the tomb, you darn right. From the womb to the tomb, they would care. Yeah, they are pro some birth, not pro life. You're absolutely right. And yes, I saw that food serving French fries with no hairnet. And yes, I saw that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then like I said, he should be serving fries because he's a few fries short of a Happy Meal. His elevator don't go to the top floor, and I don't give a flying flip about no deal. And I'll get to Clarence because I'm sure that's why all of y'all are waiting. So you just hang on. I know I agree with you too. I was agreeing with you. I was saying that they're acting like they're all of a sudden gonna be killing babies for voting for her. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I know. It's absolutely nuts. The whole situation is nuts. Bottom line, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to this situation, you don't get to tell me how to vote. But Donnie McClendon, now, oh Lord have mercy. I got so much to talk to y'all about. I can't even get it all out. I'm gonna have to take me just here just for a second, y'all. Y'all give me a minute. I'm gonna put it on here. Let me run to the restroom for just a second. I promise you I'm gonna be right back. Go get you some popcorn, go get you a drink, and we're gonna have to have another session. Give me a little break here. All right, I'm back. Thank y'all so very much for your patience. I appreciate it. Lord, what I'm about to, uh, this right here is about to be a whole situation right here. And I know I'm gonna get some. I know I'm gonna get some backlash, for this right here. I know I'm gonna get some backlash for this. So let me. First of all, many of you that follow the Mad Church Disease channel, you may or may not know, I was a part of Clarence McClendon's church for over 9 years. I assisted Granda Travis, and I'm gonna call some names. I'm gonna call some names in here. Oh, yes, I am. I assisted Granda Travis in working and running our altar worker ministry. Okay. That was the ministry that dealt with all of the individuals when you came down to the altar to receive Christ. That was part of my responsibility. But Clarence has chimed in on this situation. And let me just let you hear what this fool said, and then I'll dog walk this fool.
Going against the basic principles of the Word of God, I cannot vote for you, no matter what color you are. You don't have to like me. Hear me very clearly. Kamala Harris will not get my vote. And let me tell you why. It's not because I don't like her. I think she's fine. But the people who are financing her, the money behind her, the hands that are moving her mouth are the money and the forces that are trying to destroy the basic fabric and foundation of the Judeo-Christian ethic. And you mark my words. You say, well, who are you voting for? That ain't your business. I might write myself in. I'd be a better president than most of the choices. I may not win, but at least my vote would have integrity. And let me say this really clearly. We got to get to the point where we are not trying to vote saviors into office. I don't need a savior in the Oval Office. I got a savior in the holiest of all. I don't need anybody for me in Washington. God is for me. And if God is for me, who can be against me? You don't like me, I'm preaching the truth.
Okay. First of all, let me deal with the lies in this video. First of all, Clarence, if those of us who were members of the church, anybody out there in this whole world, when y'all find this video and you recognize me, recognize my face, y'all will know that this is modus operandi for Clarence. Clarence is a Republican. He has always tried to convince the congregation to vote or sway us in a Republican sort of vein of things. This is not abnormal for us who were members of the church. Y'all know what I'm telling is the truth. He's always been doing this. This doesn't catch me by surprise at all. Now, what does catch me by surprise is for this man to come out and say he doesn't trust the forces that are behind her, that are moving her mouth and her lips and her money and all of that. Let me just simply say this. Many of you who have followed my channel, y'all know that I worked on Barack Obama's campaign. And I've told you guys stories in the past about what I experienced when working on President Obama's campaign. At one particular point, the money in the campaign had slowed down and had dried up. And when the money dried up, and I was on the phone trying to raise money and get money, from big donors, big donors and stuff like that. And some of the people in the LGBTQIA community told us unabashedly and unashamedly they would not give him another dime until he came out for gay marriage, in support of gay marriage. Because if you remember, President Obama in the beginning did not support gay marriage at all. And after, getting with President Obama, not me personally, but the people higher ups. And when they found out that that the money was drying up and the statements that were being made by the folks on the phone and the LGBT community, he then came out and endorsed gay marriage. Floodgates of money opened up, blah, blah, blah. But that is on both sides of the party, because there are also some forces behind Donald Trump. And one of those forces is a man by the name of Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a South African apartheid participating racist. Okay. And this is my opinion, and I don't care who don't like it. It is what it is. These folks in America, you have been tricked and duped so bad into supporting stuff that you should not be supporting. Black folks is running around here, driving around in Teslas, and you thinking it is some sort of status symbol, when this man is using the money that you are funding his company with, and they are using taxpayer dollars to make him even wealthier with his SpaceX program. You all must be kidding me. Natural Diva, you are correct. And not only Heritage Foundation, but another organization that when I was an early Christian, I used to support an organization called Focus on the Family. I was a big Focus on the Family supporter until I realized that Focus on the Family was just as racist as they come. And I thought to myself, oh my God, for years I've been supporting all these people and doing all of this stuff. I got to change what I'm doing. Now, let me just say this. That is normal behavior for Clarence. Now, I have stayed away from talking about Clarence and talking about my experiences with Church of the Harvest, and then Church of the Harvest International, then Clarence McClendon Ministries, then Full Harvest Church, then Full Harvest Church International, and all of the thousands of names that he's had to, flip this church's name into. Clarence, let's talk about ungodliness. Let's talk about ungodliness, Clarence. Clarence, I just have some questions for you, and maybe you can assist me in my understanding of ungodliness. Clarence, I want to ask you a question. Is it ungodly to come to your congregation and tell your congregation that you and your family are homeless, while we are yet paying for a parsonage for you and your family to live in, but you were unhappy with that parsonage and you decided that you wanted to go live in another parsonage, but you came to the congregation and you told us that you and your family was homeless, while you were in the middle of trying to separate yourself from your wife? Is it godly, Clarence, to come to people and ask them to fund your dysfunction and your exit strategy from your then wife? Is that godly, Clarence? Because you want to talk about Kamala Harris being godly. Clarence, is it godly for a pastor of a church to then be found in a movie theater kissing and sucking face with a woman that he is not married to while he is still married, and getting upset when the congregation and the rumbling of the congregation got all mad and upset with you? Is that godly, Clarence? Is that something that's godly? I just want to ask you. And here, so I can put out another name. Elder William McCoy. William McCoy. Okay. Elder McCoy called me one night, Clarence, when you did all of your foolishness, and was telling me or asking me and letting me know that some of the members of the church had found you and saw you in that movie theater sucking face with the woman that you are now married to, that you were not married to at the time. So Elder William McCoy called me one night and he said, well, Marcellus, pastor has been found, in this movie theater. And I told them, I said, well, we saw the process of how this is going down. He took Tamara from on stage, sitting next to him every Sunday, and he put her down in the audience. And then he took her from the audience to the floor. So he had her on the platform. She went from the platform to the floor to the door. That was the stages, from the platform to the floor to the door. Okay. And he lied and had all of the elders to come and stand behind him. Clarence, come on, Clarence. Let's talk about godly. Do you remember when you had all the elders to stand behind you and you reprimanded us for bumping our gums because we were talking about you and your wife and all of your situations and stuff that was going on over there, Clarence? Was that godly, Clarence? Okay. Let's go on, Clarence. Let's go a little bit further. When Sharon, who was your secretary at the time, I forget Sharon's last name. I don't even know if she's still over there serving in the ministry. But when you decided, when the Foursquare denomination asked you to sit down for 6 months and you refused to sit down, and you decided that you were going to leave the church and we were going to make this grand exit and we were going to run away from the church. And while we were running away from the church, you decided that you weren't going to pay the bills for the church for the last 2 months that we was in the building. Was that godly, Clarence? Because we're talking about godly now. We're just talking about godliness. All right. So Clarence, let me ask you another question, Clarence. Is it godly to tell the woman that you're married to that God told you that you married to the wrong woman and that you need to get a divorce and that she needed to divorce you because you was married to the wrong woman? Is that godly? Because you're talking about Kamala Harris and Kamala Harris being godly. So I'm just asking questions, Clarence. Is that a godly thing to do? All right, Clarence. Clarence, is it godly to tell your congregation on a the week before Mother's Day that they were going to worship at the Palladium, which is the porn capital of Los Angeles, and we were going to be worshiping in the Palladium, and we were going to go there and worship, and then we get there on Mother's Day and you announce to the whole entire congregation that that was our new church home, and we had no idea that we were going to be worshiping in the Palladium when we had just built a church on Adams and La Brea. Clarence, is that godly? I'm just asking questions. Clarence, is it godly for you to take us out of our church after we had just built on the church a garage because you was claiming that you didn't want to, have to deal with the people out in the public? You wanted to be able to drive into the building and be able to get into your side of the building that required a code in order for you to get on your side of the building. Is that godly, Clarence? Is that godly? Very interesting. Okay, Clarence, is it godly for you to people to Christ in the champagne room? Was that a godly thing for us to be doing, Clarence? We leading people to Christ in the champagne room. Okay, I'll move on, Clarence. Clarence, was it godly for you to have all of the leaders of the church to come down and kneel down before you and ask you for your forgiveness because you divorced your wife and married another woman 7 days later? Was that godly, Clarence? From my understanding and estimation, that's exactly what happened. Oh, Clarence, do you remember? Oh, the man who married you and your now wife was in a 14-year affair with a lady named Mona Brewer. And Mona Brewer had been traveling around with Bishop Earl Park for years. I'm sorry, but I just have to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth today, because now I'm a little teed off, Clarence. You got your whole nerve. And I've lived long enough and I've been around long enough to remember all of this stuff, Clarence. Clarence, is it godly for you to, was that godly for Errol Park, who was having a 14-year affair, and he and you and that woman, he brought that woman to our church and was leading praise and worship and traveling with that woman, and you had no problems bringing that woman to our church and doing all the stuff that you was doing? Was that godly? Clarence, let me ask you another question, Clarence. We just talking, Clarence. When you and Errol Park got really close and y'all was doing y'all 2 Men and a Bible series, in Mona Brewer's account of the events that she experienced with Bishop Earl Park, she said that Bishop Earl Park would bring other preachers to sleep with her while he watched. Now, Clarence, I'm not saying that you're one of those preachers, but I'm going to raise my eyebrow because I do have my suspicions of who I might think might have been one of those preachers, because you were hanging mighty tough with Bishop Earl Park and Mona Brewer and them folks when they was doing all of their nasty deeds. But was any of that stuff ungodly? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. These are questions, Clarence, that I think I have a right to ask. So we're talking about ungodliness because you say all of the money that's funding her. Clarence, was it godly when we had Harvest Fire and you had that man dressed up as an Arab, and said that he came from Saudi Arabia and he bought you a Rolls Royce because he saw you on television, when other members of the church came back later and told us that they were there when you and Elder Lewis Malini went to go purchase this Rolls Royce, and the money that you purchased that Rolls Royce with did not come from no Arab person from Saudi Arabia? Was that godly, Clarence? And who was funding you and Elder Malini when y'all decided to do all of those dirty works? Oh, come on. You do remember Elder Malini, don't you? Your little confidant and the person that you had doing all of that screwed up stuff. Because in my opinion, Clarence, when you lied to the congregation and told us that man came from Saudi Arabia and bought you that car, that Rolls Royce, you were lying then. And you most certainly, sir, are a liar. And I don't take nothing back. I am disturbed by your behavior. I am disturbed by your situation, how you could come out here in the public and talk about Kamala Harris when you have done nothing but destroy the stuff that other people have built. Okay. All right, Clarence, because we're talking about ungodliness. Okay. When Bishop Darrell Hines stood up in front of the congregation and told the congregation that you were marrying this woman that you are now married to because it was your choice, not God's choice. That's what Darrell Hines stood up and told us when you decided to marry the woman that you are now marrying. Now, Clarence, was it godly for you and that woman allegedly to be living together before you were married? You know, when y'all went to the carpet store to pick out that green carpet that y'all put in that in the parsonage that you guys now, that the church pays for, was that godly, Clarence? I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. This is all I'm doing, is asking questions. Clarence, I'm not quite sure I understand how you could get on you could, from your bully pulpit, preach that this woman is ungodly when you yourself are in the flesh and you've done a lot of questionable, in my opinion, ungodly things. Clarence, was it ungodly that in one of the harvest fires, when Creflo Dollar came to the congregation and to the harvest fire convention, he stood up there and told us it was nice of us to do what we did for our pastor, and we had no idea what we had done for you, and you apparently had went out and bought some plane, and then was that godly to do that without informing the church? We didn't even have a place of worship. We didn't even have a building to worship in, and you was out buying and spending money hand over fist. Was that godly, Clarence? Because we talking about godliness right now. Was it godly, Clarence, when other elders confronted you about your behavior and the things that you were doing, for you to just let them go and fire them because you were upset that those people were saying the things about you that they were saying? Was that ungodly? I'm just asking questions. Were those things ungodly? Oh, Clarence, I got more ungodly stuff for you. Clarence, was it ungodly when you decided that you wanted to do that fundraising campaign, Every Man Take a Beam? Do you remember where we would buy $1,000 beam and walk it from one side of the church to the other side of the church, and we would place this beam and the people would be buying the beams because we were supposed to get a church and we were supposed to be worshiping, when you treated us like we were nomads and you cared nothing about us? Was it godly for you to do the things that you were doing, for you running because you refused to have integrity and you refused to sit yourself down because you got a divorce and you're supposed to be, quote unquote, the bishop? Was it godly, Clarence, for you to teach that first fruits message that you preach, talking about your first wife was your first fruit offering and you gave her back to God? Clarence, was that godly? You don't remember preaching that stuff? Oh, I got another one for you, Clarence. Clarence, was it godly for you to preach from the book of Exodus and tell the entire congregation that there were certain times that God would anoint the church and anoint the congregation to go out and borrow money and to bring the money to the congregation, because that was the time that God had anointed the children of Israel to borrow all the silver and the gold, because he knew they wasn't going back. And for those of us that had went to the bank and we were trying to get loans for businesses and stuff, that we could go back to the bank because God had anointed us to go back to the bank to borrow money. Was that godly? Okay. All right, Clarence, because we just talking about godliness right now. Clarence, was it godly for you to tell us during that meeting that we were supposed to go sell all of our diamond rings, and you wanted us to go give up our diamonds and all of our jewelry and go bring the money to the congregation, but not to do it in the name of the church? Was that godly? Was it godly, Clarence, when you told us that it was okay for us to sell chicken dinners and all of that other stuff, but not to do it in the name of the church? Was any of that godly, Clarence? I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions. When we want to talk about godliness, you're not in any position to be talking about who's godly and who's not godly and who's funding certain things and funding certain people. When you had your brother and Earl Park and Bishop Daryl Hines to stand up on that platform, and when all of them women went into wailing and crying because you told them that you were getting married, and those women went, I never heard anything like it in my entire life. God is my solemn witness. To this day, I've never heard a wailing like that from women. Those women wailed because they knew you were in sin and they knew you were doing what you were doing. They were wailing. You're just ridiculous. You're absolutely ridiculous, Clarence, talking about who's godly and who's ungodly. Here's the position you should have, sir. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. You're in no position to be running around here talking about who's godly. When you had those folks come down there and kneel before you, the leaders of the ministry and the leaders of the church, I told Granda Travis I was kneeling before your black. I would never kneel before your black at not nan time, ninja. You got your whole nerve. You got your whole nerve. I don't know who you think you are. I don't know why you preachers in America think that you can just say the stuff that you want to say and that your past will not meet you, and that these people have such short memories. Do you remember, Clarence, that you had this congregation traveling all around? Did you remember having that tent on 135th in Torrance? Clarence, do you remember meeting in that building? I thought it looked like a firehouse, and I refused to go over there. I was like, I ain't following these people in no darn firehouse. I ain't going over there. And now you're over there, I think on Manchester, somewhere in that old building that, you know, trying to revamp your ministry. Clarence, do you remember when you guys was somewhere over there? I can't remember. And the man that you was renting the building from, he locked y'all out of the church because you wasn't paying the money, or you had the contract had ran out. You don't remember none of that, Clarence? Was it godly for you to give out that man's phone number to the whole congregation? Was that godly? Because I think I might still have that on video. Was that godly, Clarence? Because we talking about godliness right now. Because you talking about godliness. Yeah, Paul, it's some old theater. I don't even remember. I know where it's at. But you got your whole nerve. Oh, Clarence. Let's talk about godliness a little bit further. Was it godliness, Clarence, for you and Dr. Mark Hanby? And I'm going to tell you how prophetic Dr. Hanby is. I don't play with Dr. Hanby. Dr. Hanby is a whole different situation. And if you look at any preacher's life, a lot of times you're going to find something if you put the microscope on them. Dr. Hamby prophesied and told us, he told you what building you were supposed to buy. He told you what building you were supposed to buy. I think it was called a Grand Olympic Auditorium. He prophesied and told you that that was supposed to be the church that we were supposed to have. And he said it was going to turn into a church. Guess what it is right now, ladies and gentlemen? It is a church, but Clarence doesn't own it. But he had prophesied years ago that Clarence was supposed to take over that Grand Olympic Auditorium. It is now the Asian church has taken it over. Is it godly, Clarence, for you not to listen to the word or to the prophet? Because the prophet prophesied it to us and told us that that's where we were supposed to worship and that's where we were supposed to be. But you went against the word of the prophet. So is it godly for you not to listen to the word of the prophet? I'm just saying. Clarence, when you got up there and told all of us that you and your family was homeless, you lied. You told us that y'all was homeless and that we needed to help you get a new place to live. And we worked hard. And I think we were the church was paying something like $4,000, $5,000 a month to get you guys into the parsonage. And I believe it's the house that you currently live in right now to this day. That wasn't your money that got you in there, Clarence. It was the people of the Lord's money. You have a very short memory. You have a very short memory. And to all of the members of the Church of the Harvest, I want you to come for me. You can come on over here and tell me I'm lying, because I'm way back into Ona Davis days. And some of you don't even know who Ona Davis is. I know who Ona is. She passed away. I'm way back into the Martha Bagley days. Some of you don't even know those names. You don't know those names. I'm way back into the James Baker days. So you don't know who you're talking to. Y'all over there with this Clarence and this new wife and this new situation. And Clarence, who was your wife dating before you married her? Who was the preacher? Because the word on the street was, some of these women, they're temple whores. I didn't say she was. I'm just saying I know a lot of these women are temple whores because, they have a thing for men in the kingdom. Yeah. So it's quite interesting to me that you would come out here and be trying to talk about who's godly and who's funding them and who's behind her. Listen here. You guys have lost your grips on the minds of the people, and it is crazy to you. Now, to that little raggedy congregation over there, let me be very clear. And I know most of you don't know this because you weren't there. And I'm sorry if you get offended that I called y'all raggedy because y'all pastor raggedy. Y'all raggedy because you pastor raggedy. And to me, Clarence, you're not a bishop. You're not a pastor. You done let Daryl Hines talk you into becoming a pastor when you had no business being nobody's pastor at all. You do not have a heart for God's people. You are profoundly disrespectful. Oh, okay. Let's talk about godly. I got another one to just come up. When 3 of the mothers of the church passed away, 3 of the mothers, and I'm sorry right now, I can't remember the names. But I can't even remember the name. Shame on me. But I went to visit them and have communion with them in the hospital. And this is where I really get emotional, because you are a despicable man. You are just a despicable man. Those 3 women who served you communion, that you would not even go visit in the hospital. And you call yourself somebody's pastor. You are a despicable man. I went to that hospital and I sat with those women. And I had communion with those women because you would not even go. I don't understand how a person can call themselves a leader of a church. You do not have God's heart. You do not have the people of God best interest at heart. You are a despicable man. And I will never, ever, ever, ever forgive you for what you did. You would not preach any of their funerals. You are a horrible person. And I'm going to leave my comments there. I need to take a break for just a second. I'm sorry, y'all. Just give me a second. You are a horrible person. And I don't know who in the world would sit under a pastor like you. You are just despicable. All right, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm back. Lord have mercy. Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm sorry. And that's why I don't like talking about this. I really don't. Because I get emotional. I really do. Clarence, you're despicable. You're a despicable human being, and you got your nerve talking about somebody's ungodly. They do. You got your nerve. You got your whole nerve, sir. And I'm choosing not to. I'm trying my best not to swear because I know it kind of alienates some of y'all, but Clarence, you deserve to be cussed out. You know, you are a despicable human being, and you're not anybody's pastor. And for those of you that are over there believing that he genuinely cares about you and your family and what goes on in your house, you're deceived. You're absolutely deceived. And when I recognize, first of all, when the scripture says that God will give us shepherds after his own heart, when a pastor doesn't care about you enough to when you are on your deathbed, you know, Clarence, now these are women that served him communion. These are women who served him water, you know, tea, just made sure everything was prepared for this man, you know. And the man just didn't preach none of their funerals, not any of them. Martha Bagley and I, Reverend Martha Bagley and I, and me went to the hospital and had communion with these women. Well, one of them in particular that comes to my mind right away. Horrible, just absolutely horrible. We had communion with her as she got ready to make her transition. She was an author. She had wrote a book. I don't remember right now because my brain is fried because I'm so angry at this situation. But you got your whole nerve to be running around here talking about somebody is ungodly when you don't care about any. The only thing you care about, Clarence, is fame, fortune, and getting your name out there and presenting yourself like you're some sort of spiritual authority in the world. You are a despicable human being. You're just absolutely despicable. And I cannot for the life of me understand why people still fund your dysfunction and allow you to still go on like you've never done anything to anybody. And you act like the people who left you, we didn't have a right to leave you. You have a nerve. And oh, to the people that over there, y'all go over there and eat your cake and you do what you do. You do what you do. But I know one thing, none of these Negroes is getting any of my money. Ain't nobody getting no more of my money. Let me tell you a story real quick. I have an auntie who's passed away. My auntie and this was really gets me. She came to the church because of me, because I actually I found out about Clarence in 1993, 94, and I started following Clarence's ministry because of Carlton Pearson. So let me lay it all out here. We were at an Azusa Coast to Coast conference, and it was a Friday night, and Clarence came down, and apparently there was some woman, but now mind you, it's like 10,000 people in this crowd. I know better now, so you don't have to judge me, but you can judge me. Carlton was prophesying, and I tell you, Mike Williams, if you're watching this, I need that darn Friday night video, because Carlton prophesied some things that later came to pass, even from the terrorist attack. I want that tape, Mike. But anyway, I'm gonna call. I actually need to send Mike another message. But Clarence prophesied that some woman had a brain tumor, and she came down, and they prayed for the woman, etc. When Clarence did that, I said, you know what? I need to go with a more prophetic ministry, because I was feeling like God was sort of shifting my heart and my mind more towards prophetic things and dealing with prophetic stuff. And so I said, okay. Now, and mind you, at the time, I don't think I had started going to Israel Missionary Baptist Church right then. I went to Israel a little bit later, and then I started going over to Clarence's church. I didn't even join Clarence's church. I think I had been going to the church for like 2 or 3 years before I joined it, because it was a struggle for me to join the church. First of all, I'm from the South, and you know, if you're in the South, we always used to have some about these greasy-haired preachers, you know, with these polygrip smiles. You know, we just didn't trust these kind of preachers, right? But I said, okay, I'm gonna acquiesce, and I'm gonna go. And so I joined the ministry. Now, mind you, in 1993, before I joined the ministry, I was struggling to even participate in any church, because I had just got out of a situation at Kimberly Park Holiness Church in Winston-Salem, where some people had just gotten together and decided that they wanted to out the pastor that we had. His name was Paul Sherrod Jr. Y'all know I call names. Pastor Sherrod was a great pastor. He was a great person. I loved him dearly. And they just decided that they would conspire to get rid of him, because you know how some churches are. They just, you know, they don't like certain preachers, and they just determine that they're going to get rid of the pastor. So everybody wants to attack the pastor, get rid of the pastor. And so that's how that went down. And now the man, the man who's the pastor of that church right now, his wife divorced her husband in a very quick, short period of time, and married the pastor of the church now. So she divorced her husband, married the pastor real quick. That was a whole nother mess as well. But that's a whole nother situation. And I ain't going to call your name. I'm going to leave you alone, because, you know, I love you, and it is what it is. And you and I, we haven't had a chance to talk about that. But let me just tell you, I'm disgusted by Clarence McClendon. I'm disgusted by him. Your entire lifestyle has been funded by the people of God. When you was living in Pasadena, when you first came, and you didn't, and they ran you off from that other church that you was supposed to be pastoring, Clarence, and them folks got rid of you, and you came over there to West Adams, Foursquare Church, okay? And then the church, I don't even know if they put the, made the name of the church back, to take the name of the church back. But we had just built a brand new church. That was brand new building. That building that you guys saw on television that Clarence was preaching from, brand new building. We then put a garage on the side of the church because Clarence has to have his own little private access. And I believe the month or two that we had just put on the garage to the church, that fool had ran us to the Palladium. Now, let me tell you another thing for those of you that are watching this that are still here. By the way, y'all, please hit the like button. I apologize for crying on y'all, but please hit the like button because I got almost 700 of y'all watching me right now. Please hit the like button because I mean, it just helps. When Clarence got us over there to that darn Palladium and he told us it was our church home, at one particular point in time, ladies and gentlemen, we didn't even do altar calls, right? So the whole situation of coming, preaching the gospel in order to get folks saved, as they say, we stopped doing it. We didn't even do altar calls. Clarence would do crazy things like he would say, squeeze the hand of the person that you sit next to if you need to know Jesus. And as the person who's running the altar worker ministry, I start saying to Granda and I talking, I'm like, Granda, what's wrong with him? Like, what are we doing here? What's the point of having a church? And you say you call to preach the gospel to people. And this is what makes me so freaking mad. So mad. Y'all running around here talking about everybody going to hell. And if these people's salvation is dependent upon you preaching the gospel and bringing them into the kingdom, and you're going to tell them, oh, squeeze the hand of the person that's next to you. And then we have whole services where there is no altar call. None. I mean, that happened for a while. And I was just like, okay, I don't even really realize what we're doing here. Like, what are we doing here? Now, around this time when we at the Palladium, this is when Mr. B.B. Winans shows up. Yo, Father and the God. And see, this is one of the reasons why I don't like these whining children. These whining children. I don't know. BB. When are y'all gonna tell the truth about y'all? Well, I guess it's not our business. It's really not our business. But here's the problem. I don't like when you all live these public lies, but you tell all these public lies. BB, who you married to? You ain't married to nobody, right? So, BB, just a question. I'm just asking questions today. Were you in a relationship with Margaret Bale? Vanessa Bale Armstrong's sister? Were you sleeping with Margaret? I'm just asking some questions. I don't understand why these people can get on their soapboxes and start talking about who's godly and who's ungodly. It's a wicked system. The whole system is wicked. That's why I don't even like talking about politics anymore. The whole thing is garbage. Okay? Nobody in this whole system is holier than another person. Now, what I can do is I can choose to vote for a person that I believe serves my best interest at heart. I can do that. I can do that because I know one thing. I'm tired of feeling like this idea of democracy that you guys have put into the place is up for grabs by rich white men. I'm quite tired of it. And we can clearly see, and for those of you that are in my audience that are white, because I know I have many of you that watch me and I appreciate you and I thank you. And I want you to know you can always feel comfortable to have your opinion and have your thoughts and so forth. And I don't want white people to feel like, that they got to constantly, all my friends, I tell them all the time, you don't have to keep apologizing for all slavery and all that stuff that happened, all of that long time ago. What you do have to apologize today for is when you hear a lie and you know it's a lie and you won't speak out and you won't speak up. That's a problem. And many of you are comfortable in your privilege. And that's what so many African Americans have trouble with, is that not the fact that because we all recognize you have the privilege. And to be honest with you, if from the mature place, listen, if a person has a privilege, they're going to use their privilege. All of us are like that. Everybody going to use their privilege. But let's not pretend like you don't know you have the privilege. That's where things kind of get a little murky and weird for me, right? Because you have the privilege, you know you have the privilege. But let's be able to have adult conversations, and let's not vilify every white person that you see and every white person that you know. Because every white person that you know does not mean you evil and doesn't mean you bad. Just like every Asian person, every Palestinian person, you know, all of these other individuals and ethnic groups, not everybody means you evil and means you bad. Most of the people that come over to America, they take advantage of the system and they work the system. And a lot of us get upset because we see them working the system and that we don't have the ability to come over and do the same things that they do. The privilege of Clarence McClendon to get on a platform and start talking about who's funding her, when we have funded you for years, funded you through all of your lies, through all of your deception, you got your whole nerve. When you got up in front of that whole congregation and told us that you and your wife was divorced and y'all wasn't even divorced yet, that was a lie and that was ungodly. I remember like it was, I remember it. But these are my opinions and I don't give a if you don't like them. Because I remember, and nobody calls you out on the carpet on your stuff. Clarence, I remember when you gave that man's phone number out in front of at that congregation. And the folks got mad because they said your ministry was going down in the dumps. And you got on social media and then start hollering about, oh, my ministry is good and I'm good and all of this kind of stuff, when you had just given that man's name out for locking y'all out the church. Or where y'all were meeting at as a church, I should say. I'm just disgusted by this whole situation, y'all. And y'all pray for me, because every time I talk about this, and I am going to deal with you, Clarence, I got to go see if I can find that video where you gave that man's phone number out in the whole congregation when you got mad because he shut y'all out because of the agreement and the lease agreement and stuff, because you had the whole church like nomads. And then how about the time, Clarence, when y'all was meeting in the tent and you had the congregation buying their chairs that they were sitting in? You remember them purple chairs that you was making everybody buy? I'm just saying. I'm just asking questions, Clarence. That's all I'm doing. I'm asking questions. We're talking about ungodly. Was that ungodly? What them chairs at, Clarence, that you had them people buy? Are they using them same chairs? Because I don't think them the same chairs that they sitting in right now over there at the new place where you at. Because if I remember this correctly, them chairs was purple. Them chairs wasn't blue. I'm just asking questions. Y'all hit the like button, please. Let me read some of y'all comments. Lord help me, Jesus, because I'm so pissed. I don't know what to do. Yeah, he's done a lot of ungodly things. He really has, with his nasty attitude self. He got a whole situation. I didn't even want to preach, but he done made me mad. He done really made me mad. Yeah, because I sure want to tell y'all, BB Winans and Margaret was real tough at one point. One time well, Lord, I don't have a video, so I can't say what I want to say. But BB, you and Margaret, did y'all ever walk home one evening after having dinner and go live while y'all was going home in the evening from having y'all dinner? I'm just saying. Okay, let me go on. Because see, I'm sorry. Because see, folks be like, oh my Lord, Marcellus, what you saying? Yeah. He was, yeah. He was something else. Let me tell you something. If I really, really, really want to talk the way I want to really, really talk, let me tell y'all something. Donnie McClurkin's sister, Andrea, She was on our praise team. She's married to a man by the name of Louis Malini. Louis Malini. Louis talks about he's an Italian. He used to always talk about the Italian mob and all this stupid shit, right? But anyway, when Clarence and that whole debacle over there happened, they hightailed it back to New York. Andrea and Louis went back to New York. Then they came back to California and started a rinky-dink church somewhere. I forget where the rinky-dink church is. I need to look it up to see if they still doing a little rinky-dink church. Now, you want to talk about a boring preacher. The boringest preacher you ever want to hear in your life. But you, Andrea, you know what went down. You and Louis Malini know clearly what went down. And that's one of the reasons why I lost so much respect for all of y'all. When that man went out there talking about that Saudi Arabia man bought him that Rolls Royce and the whole congregation, and he gonna tell the congregation, yeah, well, if I got my blessing, oh, you know, it's gonna flow down to you. Silliness. When you disrespected people like Mother Clara, I'm just saying, I don't remember Mother Clara's last name, but you, Clarence, you something else. And then to be getting on the internet talking about somebody is ungodly. I am just too through today. You and that darn Swaggart, Donnie Swaggart, y'all got y'all whole nerve, but it's all a ruse, ladies and gentlemen, to get you to vote for a man who says that he doesn't need to ask God for forgiveness. Now, this is the person that they say, oh, I can't stand it. Marcellus, calm down. All of this is to get you to vote for a man to say he don't need to ask God for no forgiveness for his sins. But Kamala is so bad and ungodly. But, oh, we want to vote for the party that's the godless. These people are so godless. The whole thing is godless. What's wrong with y'all? And I have to war. I've been over the last maybe, 7-8 months. I've been warring with God. I'm like, Lord, I don't even want to participate in this whole deal. I really, really do not. I do not. I don't even want to participate anymore. This is probably going to be the last election that I ever vote in. I'm over it. I'm over it. Y'all can keep participating. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just tired. Because when I start dealing with politics and the political system and the media and all of this stuff, you know what it makes me? It makes me feel, I can feel the evil presence of it all. It is the most wicked stuff, because all it does is divide one people against another people. And let's just say in America, it's whites against blacks. Let's just call a spade what it is. It is whites against blacks, or it's Mexicans who think they white against blacks, because everybody is always attacking us and they want to make us the issue. We are always the issue. And all I'm doing is trying to live my life, love God, and serve God to the best of my ability. But as a black man in America, everything is all you when you're constantly getting attacked. And here come President Obama coming out here talking crap to black men. I mean, you when you always getting attacked, at some point you're just like, God, I'm doing the best I can. I believe everybody has a right to their choice. I believe that people should be able to live their life how they choose to live their life. And I'm sorry. I know you all think y'all are serving God to the best of your ability, but I got a sneaky suspicion that one of the things that God done left on this earth to prove his people versus some of these other people is that LGBTQIA community. Y'all gonna hate me for this, but I really believe that God is, some of you ain't gonna make it to heaven because your hearts aren't right. Because Jesus told you he left us a greater commandment. And he said that greater commandment was greater than all of them other commandments, is for us to love our neighbor as ourselves. Some of you are some of the most hate-filled Christians I've ever experienced in my whole life. You don't like nobody. And let me just say this about that darn Patrick Wooten. let me just put, and I probably need to down. So this food. So let me take this down. Let me talk about Patrick Wooten for just a minute. Let me tell you something, Kojic folks. All you have is a watered down version of Catholicism. Your whole structure is built like you all are the Catholic Church. The only thing you don't do is you don't go and have a conclave and wait for the white smoke to come out of the top of the building over there for you to pick. You know what you all do? All you do is vote. You vote them in and you vote them out. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. It is the Catholic Church has simply had a baby. That's it. And most of these other churches are just watered down versions of Catholicism. I said it. It is the truth. You running around here in cassocks and bishop robes and mic trees and all of this stuff, and you want people to submit their whole lives to you while you got all of that foolishness going on over there. And I'm sorry to all of my Kojic people, but this is just how I feel. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Y'all are pointing fingers at other people trying to tell folks how they're supposed to live. And why don't you just leave J. Drew Sheard alone? You voted him in. And then they're talking about, oh, well, maybe Patrick Wooten should be the presiding bishop. You listen here and you let me tell you this. If Patrick Wooten ever becomes the presiding bishop of the Church of God in Christ, Lord help y'all. If Brandon Porter ever becomes the presiding bishop of the Church of God in Christ, Lord help y'all. If Daryl Hines, Father help me, ever becomes the presiding bishop. Now, do I know about everybody in their side babies? No, I don't. But you would think that y'all would try and go for somebody that's intelligent, that could really help you grow and to shape and change the way the situation, the world sort of looks at Kojic. But see, here's the thing I don't understand about Kojic people in the first place. Y'all got them women over there doing all the work, but y'all treat those women like garbage. You subjugate the women. You got them all under this tyrannical leadership, and you won't take your foot off of the neck of those women. You took your first meal from a woman. You sit down at night, and you as a man, you take your wife puts your plate in front of you, and you eat it. I don't understand why they cannot prepare a meal for you spiritually for you to eat from the table. Because I want to be honest with you, a lot of those men over there, and these armor bearers, it ain't their arms that they're bearing. It might be the arm between their legs that they helping the bishop out with. I'm just saying. You all ought to be ashamed of yourselves. And everybody's running around here talking about who's godly and who's ungodly. Give me a break. This whole system is what are you talking about? I'm just saying. Y'all get button. I guess I should listen. If y'all got any questions, I guess I could I could let y'all come up and ask y'all questions if you want. Let me see. Y'all want to come up and ask questions? I'll put the link out there. I'll put it out there in case y'all do. I'll make it available. I ain't scared of nobody. Of nobody. The link is in the chat. It is in the chat. So if you have something you want to say or you want to come up on the screen, you are more than welcome to do it. Please hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen, while we are waiting for individuals to come up on the screen. I'm going to change a couple of things here. Please hit the like. And if anything else comes to my mind while I'm waiting on you guys to come, I'll tell y'all. I'm just disgusted by these people. I'm just disgusted by them. Well, believe it or not, I like Earl Carter. I'm going to be honest. You know, Earl Carter's like the uncle that loves the Lord. He done got a hold of the Bible. Everybody going to hell but him. I love Earl Carter. You know, he got a nickname for me, by the way, Darnell. He calls me Frog Face. If I call him on the phone, I say, Earl, is Marcellus. He said, oh, it's Frog Face. And he busts out laughing, and so do I. But I like Bishop Carter, Earl Carter. I do. No, I never traveled with Clarence. Oh God, no. No, never traveled. So the link is in the chat, guys. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Don't be scared, because so many of y'all be in the bushes. So many of y'all be in the bushes. But I'm telling you, in 2005, let me put it up, since nobody's come up on the screen. Let me put this on the screen, because I want to know. Sometimes people ask me, they say, well, Marcellus, why did I leave the institutional church? In 2005, when those 3 women died, and Clarence McClendon refused to preach their services, I was devastated. When people say, oh, you had church hurt, I've never had a situation where someone in church hurt me. But what I started doing was looking at the scripture and looking what we were doing as a church and as a people. And I had to say to myself, one of these things is just not like the other. Like what I see in the Bible versus what we're doing, it's not the same. And I remember I started into a time of prayer. And I'm gonna let you come up, Juice Radio here. Just let me put you up in a moment. Let me put on my headphones. Literally, I laid down on the floor for 3 days. And I just prayed and cried and talked to God, because I could not believe a person with things that evil man does and had done. And it was disgusting to me. And to this day, it's still disgusting. All right.
Hey there, Mad Church Disease. How you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you for asking. Can you hear me well? Okay.
I can. I wish I could turn this camera on, but I just finished doing some shows and I'm in the bed with hubby, and I said, there is no way I'm turning this camera on. There is no way. But listen, I found your channel actually when you were on with St. James. Y'all did a wonderful 4-hour video. Hubby and I watched that, and I saw you tonight. And I really just wanted to come on here to really give the people some real understanding. What you were saying was true, because I'm a fact checker. I will check and find out the facts. And I found the stories on Charisma Magazine where you were talking about McClendon, how he did his wife, all the names you mentioned, Polk and all of them. So I just wanted to come on for those viewers that may be thinking kind of skeptical about what you're saying. I fact checked, and it's out there. All this stuff, even when he cut ties with, let me pull this other one up here. When he cut ties with Foursquare after the divorce, when he got divorced, and 7 days later he got married to a lady. When he actually went told his wife that he wanted to actually be, the article says he wanted to be out of the marriage for the past 5 years. I mean, the 5 years, and she didn't want to get divorced. And then when she finally said, okay, she'll let him go, he, according to the story, made the wife foul because he said it would make him look bad.
Correct.
To foul for the divorce.
Keep in mind, while all of this is happening, he's telling the congregation that they're homeless. Like at one particular point, he told us that he was homeless. Now, the way that all of it transpired, he was actually living separate from his family. From what I understand, he was either at a hotel or a condo. Don't quote me, because I don't know which one he was at, because I wasn't there with him, so I don't know where he was at. He was living separate from his family because he already wanted out of the situation. This man was so cruel and so ridiculous. He preached a message to his congregation and told him that his first wife was a first fruit offering.
Oh,
this is what he did. And people are so stupid that they fell for this stuff, and that he gave his first wife back to God as a first fruit offering. And he preached that. And I had a woman come to me and she said, well, Marcellus, he said this, that, and the other. And I was like, I said, come on, y'all. Y'all can't be this slow and stupid. But he most certainly did it. And yeah, I enjoyed my time over there talking to St. James about some of this stuff. Because I kind of hinted about a little bit of it. But he was something else. Y'all don't know. This man was something else. Oh, I got another story for y'all while you're here. Just hit my phone.
Go ahead.
There was one particular point in time, Clarence decided to sell all his clothes because he had lost a lot of weight. Because, normally when you go through a divorce, you lose weight because you're stressed out. You got a lot of stuff. So he brought the clothes, I believe, into the congregation because we was at the Palladium at the time. And I remember walking into the service, and I remember one of the elders, one of the leaders come, oh, Marcellus, are you going to buy one of these suits? And before I knew it, I'm screaming out in the out loud. I would never put on those cloths of unrighteousness. That's what I said with my religious self at the time, because I suffer from mad church disease. Y'all forgive me, but I remember screaming so loud. I would never wear none of that crap. Never put on his clothes. And believe it or not, when Clarence got his divorce, some of the members said, well, fine, pastor getting the divorce. Some of them went there and gotten divorced. Left their wives. It became divorce season in our church. It was like a ripple effect. And that's why I said the decisions that he made as a pastor had so many effects on so many different people's lives. The man was something else. Y'all just don't know. Y'all don't know.
Yeah. One portion of this article regarding his ex-wife Tamara also said here, it says Tamara also claimed that her ex-husband told her that God had shown him who he was supposed to marry.
Yeah.
She said, then she asked him, how could God show you another woman when you already have a wife?
Yeah, when you already married. And that's what I said earlier on the program. He told her that. And then he's going to say, oh, well, God has showed me somebody else. And let me ask you this, Clarence, because we just asking questions, Clarence. I'm just asking questions. Did God show you Tim Story's ex-girlfriend to marry? I'm just asking questions. Was that the woman you were supposed to marry? Okay, moving right along.
Well, like I said, you almost got me wanting to get dressed and go back into my studio and come back on here because, like I said, I'm really impressed with your channel. Listen, we have subscribed. And like I said, when I come on, I like to fact check. I fact check this, and everything you were saying on here that I could find was accurate and according to what the Charisma magazines put out there. So it's not just your words. What you were stating out here has a lot to do. Even for this wedding, it says that as far as the wedding, it said he said he was under the counsel of Bishop Paul Morton, Mark Handy, Daryl Hines, Bishop Dennis Leonard. He said all of them were at the wedding except for Morton.
Well,
all of them went to that wedding.
Yeah. Here's a funny thing. And AJ, I see you there. I'm gonna bring you up. Let me bring you up now, AJ. Just hang on. Let me tell you what happened. None of us were at Clarence's wedding. None of the members of the church was at this wedding. None of us. We didn't even know about it. When they announced the wedding, I never forget it. When they announced it, Clarence's brother showed up, Daryl Hines, Bishop Earl Park, and it might have been somebody else. They got on the stage, on the platform at the Palladium. And I'll never forget Daryl Hines' words as long as I live. Daryl said, this is Clarence's choice. He said, this is not God's choice, but this is Clarence's choice. And when he said that, I said, oh, I'm picking up what you putting down. Because he kind of in a way sort of disciplined Clarence a little bit with the statement. You know what I'm saying? Because he clearly was letting you know Clarence was out of the will of God. He clearly was letting you know. And I was like, oh, and I've never forgotten that as long as I've lived.
But he attended the wedding, though. Was he the one that?
Yeah, he attended. Well, think about it. They're friends. These guys, birds of a feather flock together. Just saying. All these dudes, they're all in the ministry. Clarence would not even be a pastor if it wasn't for Daryl Hines. Daryl Hines was the one who prophesied and told him he was supposed to be in the pastorate. And I say that prophecy was a lie too. And if I ever see Daryl Hines in public, I'm be like, you a horrible prophet, because that's the worst lie you ever told. Because Clarence does not like people. He does not like people. What y'all saw on the Real Housewives, or no, what, not Housewives, what was that crap? The Real Preachers of LA. That Clarence is the Clarence that I knew. He is an arrogant something, and I'll leave my comments there. That's all I'll say.
Oh my goodness. Well, something had to be going on. He married this girl, according to this article, 7 days after his divorce was finalized.
Absolutely. And you should have heard those women weeping and wailing. Listen to me. When I sit here and I talk to you guys about this, and you guys, I haven't really talked about this in so long. I stay away from this subject, first of all, because I don't want to have hatred in my heart for Clarence. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, but when I talk about it, I just get enraged. I get enraged because I really want to kick his behind. You understand? And so I'm just like, okay, he stole, in my opinion, from us. He stole our money. He just did the most. He ought to be ashamed of himself. I'm for any pastor prospering. And AJ, I'm coming to you in just a second. I'm for all pastors prospering. If you're working in the ministry, you're doing whatever you're doing, do you. But don't be lying and stealing from the people and doing what the book of Matthew tells us not to do. You would not put these same burdens on yourself that you put on the rest of us. You put they put all these burdens on us. We got to buy you a house, buy you a car, pastor's anniversary, first lady's anniversary. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that for the rest of the congregation, but it's a whole nother matter. Go ahead, AJ. You got the floor. AJ, you got the floor. You got to unmute yourself. Okay. All righty. All right. And it's the Juice Radio, right?
It is the Juice Radio and Talk Show.
All right. Yeah. But I do appreciate you guys coming on today. And let me just tell you, I'm disgusted. When I saw that by Clarence, I called one of my friends last night and I sent her the video. And I said, I think I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to try to keep myself together. Because as old church members, we don't talk about Clarence. She was a former member of the church too. I think she worked in the ministry at one particular point in time. It's just something else.
Yeah, and there's lawsuits up here that I found regarding Clarence stealing ideas from one young lady as well. And there's just so my thing
how about the lawsuits from the records and the albums? Did you find any of those?
I found the one where he tried to allegedly steal the girl's idea of a show. I saw that one, and then I clicked on your link to come up here. But listen, if you need the links, I'll send it to you because I do my research and I can send them over to you.
Yeah. Well, I lived it. I don't need no links. I lived it. I lived it. It was a mess. Go ahead, AJ. Oh Lord, you done came back up. Now, AJ, am I going to have to drop you down again? Oh my God. Okay, come on, AJ. I don't know what to tell you. But
Clarence is a lot. I watched Preachers of LA, and I'm telling you, from the first scene that I saw Clarence, I said something is wrong with this guy. Something is off. First of all, I even mentioned this on my show tonight. I said with Clarence, when I saw him on Preachers of LA, he had this little looking church or whatever. It wasn't all that. It looked like it needed some work and stuff. But then they show his house and it looked like the Taj Mahal.
Right.
Huge house and this broke down church. And I was like, well, it wasn't really broke down, but the house.
Oh, it was broke down.
In the house.
we didn't have a church. When we moved from the Palladium, we were nomads up until the point, I think like maybe a year or two. Don't quote me because I ain't been around Clarence in a long time, so I don't know. Yeah. He might be in the new building that he's in now, maybe 2 years, maybe 3. But they have not had a church for all that long time. Okay. So and I keep trying to tell Oh yeah, he was living good, man. Limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun. He was better than Ric Flair. I'm trying to tell you. I'm just saying. And that cost us about 40 from what they told me. And James Baker's wife, I think, used to do the books or something that James Baker, or she either ran the bookstore. But I remember something James and his wife had told me a while ago. Something about Clarence not paying the bills. But the thing about the house, I think we were paying like $4,500 or $5,000 a month. Giving towards that parsonage. But I could go on for a long time. That's a lot of money to spend for somebody to live, for a church or people that don't have no church, because you can't build and steal at the same time. And I keep trying to tell everybody that you can't build a church and steal from your congregation at the same time. It just don't work. Go ahead, AJ. I think AJ is having the most trouble with this microphone. But yeah, Juice Radio, it was really tough. And
I couldn't even imagine why people follow him, because when I watched him on Preach of LA, I was like, this guy, I said, there's just a spirit about him that is manipulative. And I was like, why don't the people see this? And I still even wonder today why people are still sitting in his congregation. He was
they don't know
on the show. He was, but his character shows who he is.
Yes,
like I said, I saw him on television. His character shows who he is. So why is it that people are still sitting in the pews of a church of a guy who his character is still showing the reflection of who he is?
I think the reason why people in America, and this is why I've stepped away from the institutional church altogether. I think people in America have they want to be accepted by God. No one wants to be rejected by God. And when you have people in these positions who are most visible, you got to keep in mind, Clarence went from being a no-named individual to being a worldwide phenomenon. And somebody corrected me the other day in the chat from St. James chat, saying that he was third in command and Neil Ellis was second in command. Because I forget, because the order of things don't really matter to me, because it's all crap to me. But Clarence went from this small ministry, we weren't on TV, and then he went to this situation where he was going around the world. TBN put us on television in the beginning for free. Okay. We were coming on TBN for free. Matt and Lori Crouch were coming to the church. So many celebrities, all these people coming to the church. And then we went from a ministry that was doing maybe $1-2 million when we kind of sat down and had our little meetings and did the budget and stuff. You're talking, the moment you go on TV, your budget and the ministry starts taking in $3-4-5 million. So you cease from being somebody driving you to the airport. He would leave the church in a limousine to go head off to the airport. Like a regular car wasn't gonna cut the mustard. You had to be escorted by a limousine to the airport. I mean, just ridiculous.
He did that on the reunion, the Preachers of LA reunion, when he came up to Noel Jones's house, with the driver and all that and so forth.
Yeah.
Very sad, very sad. But listen, I'm glad you're talking about it. Go ahead, and talk about it. My husband loves your channel. He's like, he listened to the whole 4-hour show that you did with St. James. I tell you, I was a little tired. I went to sleep, but hubby listened to the whole thing, and he really big upped you. He was like, I really love the way this young man speaks. I really love. He's very intellectual. So just wanted to share that with you. You're really touching people and giving them, the truth, and that's the main reason why I wanted to come up tonight to tell you that when you're listening to bloggers and they're telling conversations and stuff, it's okay to go ahead and fact check some of this stuff. But when you do and you find out that they are telling the truth, start listening a little more. And you are, from what I found on here, you are telling the truth. And I love that you're sharing the story. I'm gonna pray for you for protection, because I know how people like McClendon can be.
Well, but it's the thing here. I'm just telling you what my personal experience was.
Correct.
You understand? I remember sitting in the pew the Sunday before he announced and made, because it was a Mother's Day. God is my witness. I'll never forget it. We moved to the Palladium on Mother's Day. We were sitting in the Palladium on a Mother's Day, and that man came out and told us, "Welcome to your new church home." And we were devastated. I remember looking at my like other members of the church. We were like staring at each other like, to our new church home. You got to understand, the Palladium is where they hold the porn conventions.
Yes, I remember you said that.
You understand what I'm saying? And now we're meeting here, and now we got to lead people to Christ in a room called the Champagne Room. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember the altar workers and people coming to me. And if I be honest with you guys, it was like one thing after another thing. It was like, when it was a progression. And one week every week we were coming to church, it was one thing after the other. I had another friend of mine, she would be coming in, I would be coming in church, she would be leaving the 8 o'clock service, and she would be shaking her head. She like, "Marcellus, hold on to your hat, it's something else this week." I'd be like, "Oh God, here we go." It was something else. And she would be leaving and I would be coming in. It was like a good 4-5 weeks of that. It was just progressing every week. We had something new coming up, and it was like, oh my God, to the point to where it was something. And the day I made a decision, even though I didn't leave the church then, I remember when he preached from the book of Exodus, and I'll never forget it. And I told y'all this earlier, when he preached a message and told us that the reason why the children of Israel went to the Egyptians to borrow all the silver and the gold. Now I'm sitting on the front row, and I'm starting to slide out of my chair. Like, I didn't realize I was sliding out of my chair, because he was preaching and I was sliding. And before I knew it, like, he told us that we were supposed to go and borrow money, and we were supposed to bring the money to the church. And because God had anointed us to go borrow the money, I'll never forget it as long as I live. And that it was okay for us to go. If the bank had rejected us, it was okay for us to go back to the bank, and we could go get the loans and bring the money into the congregation and all of this stuff to help him build whatever we were supposed to be building. It was crazy.
So put your people in debt. I cannot.
Yeah. And then how about the next week? It was, oh, I'm getting married. And how about the next week? It was something else. I mean, one week after the next, it was, oh my God, it was horrible. And then I just had made a decision one day. I remember the last Sunday, I gathered the altar workers together, and I'll never forget it. And there's some altar workers, I've forgotten their names, and I'm sure if they watch this, y'all gonna know who I am. I remember gathering them together and praying outside of the congregational, inside of the sanctuary. We stood outside, and I remember getting them in a circle, and I remember telling them that I was going to be leaving, and that, God, that the people out, it wasn't so much I didn't want them to worry about Clarence, but I wanted them to understand that the people outside the church were watching how we handled Clarence and what we were how we were dealing with Clarence. And I remember praying with them and telling them, you all just be aware of that and how you conduct yourself, because they were angry, they were hurt, some of them were crying. It was so bad. It was so bad. And I just remember trying my best to minister to them. And I left, and I never came back. And I never went back. Wow. And the only time I ever went back, I went back to see them in the tent. That tent they had on 100, and I believe it was 135th and Torrance. And I sat in the back of the congregation, and he had purple chairs, and he had them buying the chairs that they were sitting in. I'll never forget it. The man is something else.
How long were you a member of his congregation?
Well, I worked in the altar worker ministry for 9 years. Let me see. I'd have to do the math to tell you the truth. And plus I was there a couple of years before I actually joined. So if I count all the time. So wait a minute, let's see. 2005 minus 1997. Okay. So if I just add the official, when I got my membership thing, like 9 years, we'll say 9 years. Okay. Cause when I finally joined, I started working in the ministry, cause I was one of those Christians who, I didn't just come to church. I always, cause we were taught whatever our hands find to do, we just found ourselves doing something.
Right.
But I was there long before I ever joined.
And that's one of my questions, because like I ask, how do people stay under this type of teaching? And I'm hearing from you, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's probably when you started seeing some of the behind the scenes, some of the back office stuff that was going on, that had you to have a wider vision of what was happening, and gave you more of a reserve. So I think a lot of people sit in these congregation seats because they're not seeing it. They're seeing it's almost like a stage play. You don't know what's going on behind the curtains when they close, but when everybody's on stage, everybody see it and they're happy. But when you see the stuff that's going on behind the stage, then you tend to say, well, wait a minute, is this really real? Should I really be here?
Right. Well, I'm gonna call another name, Roche McDaniel, which helped and assisted in leading praise and worship with Andrea McClurkin. And there was another woman who led praise and worship. I don't remember her name, but her husband was an elder and he happened to be a lawyer. So if anybody can go find these people, Roche, she went back over there to First Apostolic, which was Wayne Turner's church, Dr. Wanda Davis Turner and the Turners over there. She went back over there. I don't know where she is now, but I call your name, Roche, because y'all know I'm telling the whole truth. And y'all got very upset when he got married and how he got married, because Roche, you were friends with Tamara, and you know I ain't told no lie. So y'all gone, and y'all know I'm not lying. So y'all know what he did, and I'm gonna just leave it there. Now that whole thing about the two twins, Tia and Tamara, I don't think there's any teeth to that. From what I understand, that's just a rumor. Unless Tia or Tamara comes out and says that, then it's just a rumor. That's just people being people. They're people.
I don't know. But listen, we need to pray and that these people will really find the trueness. Oh, AJ's back. Let's see if AJ can hear. I'm gonna try and go to my studio here.
Hey, AJ, I can hear you, AJ.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. It's been a whole entire 20 minutes I've been trying to get this thing working.
Good for you, AJ. You finally did it.
I came from the chat and now I'm up here now. Finally. How have you been, Mr. Marcellus?
I am good. I know it has been. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
It is great to see you back on your stream, man. I'm glad to see you back on the Mad Church Disease. I was waiting to see your channel turn back on. I was actually excited when you announced it. I was like, oh my God, Marcellus is coming back. I gotta find my way over here, yo. And you know, things been going on, but I'm glad to see you're doing very well.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, and I know you got some business things, and you're working hard. So I appreciate you, sir. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. But on tonight's topic, though, man. Wow. What I was gonna say before, when I had came in earlier, don't forget the donations. Don't forget the the pastor's appreciation donations.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we gave Clarence so much. Well, first of all, y'all, Clarence took up a totally separate offering for himself. Y'all need to understand. We did our tithes and offering, and then Clarence had his own offering. I don't remember if it had his name on the envelope or it just said pastor's offering. I don't remember. Don't quote me. I used to have a friend who used to collect the money, and he used to tell me how much money we was raising for that joker, and be given him. But I want to tell you, Clarence made a lot of money, and he got a lot of money from us, and we as a congregation. And I just want to say this. Let me just say this. Before he went on television, he wasn't the same person. He was different, and he would tell us things like this. And this is how I knew he lost his mind. If y'all ever see me, if we ever selling chicken dinners or doing all this stuff, you guys will know I have lost my mind. That's what he used to tell us all the time. He used to say stuff like that. And then when we later got to that Palladium and he told me, go sell chicken dinners, but don't do it in the name of the church. You feel me? That switched the game up. Like that switched the game up for me, because I was like, this nigga, he out of his mind. This ninja done went crazy. Because he told us, he said, if you ever hear me say those things, I have lost it. And Clarence has lost it.
Wow.
We raised
so
thousands of
arrogant.
dollars. Yeah, we raised thousands of dollars. Every man take a beam. And for those of you that are out there in the cyber world, you know I'm telling the truth. We were moving beams every week, and every beam was $1,000. I mean, people was carrying 2 beams at a time, giving 2,000. I mean, we were raising money hand over fist, and then people still couldn't get no church.
Wow.
For years and years. What happened to all the money? That's what I want to know.
That's a question in a lot of churches. What happened to the money?
Talking about ungodly, Clarence, because you talking about Kamala is ungodly. What happened to all the money? That's my question.
I know you were saying on St. James that he owed a lot of people and he had a lot of debt. And
well, he left when he decided to hightail and run. He didn't pay the bills. So he knew he was going to leave, even though he didn't tell us. Well, he didn't know, but he left. And I guess he thought that the Foursquare denomination could just pay it all and do it themselves. But you know how church people is. They rescind into the shadows and we don't say nothing. We just try to recuperate from the ashes of the abyss of whatever you've created for us. And we try to recuperate, but all they did was ask the man to sit down for 6 months, to take a rest for 6 months because he got a divorce, and he refused to do it. Right. And you're not going to sit me down. I am the man of God. Who's going to question me? And all of this kind of stuff. And then now we're worshiping in the champagne room, in the Palladium. I mean, it's ridiculous. The stuff was crazy.
And that's around the time when I think when they said, this article said, when he had to cut ties with Foursquare.
Yeah. Well, he didn't have a choice because he was unwilling to acquiesce. But see, you got to understand, the Foursquare denomination had built that church. That's not a church that Clarence built. That wasn't he didn't have nothing to do with that. That church was built before he showed up. And see, that's another thing that people don't realize. The church was built before Clarence ever showed up. So then that little small congregation over there had that church built. And so that was a whole situation. But yeah, and if you do your research, I don't really want to go into the plane deal from Creflo Dollar because I don't even remember how all that transpired. But I do believe that he bought like an airplane, allegedly. I'm going to say alleged because I don't know if this to be the total fact. But from what I was told, but Creflo did come to Harvest Fire and tell us, oh, it's so nice of what you guys did for your pastor. And we was like, well, what do we do for it? He bought a plane. He bought a plane that he could not even afford. We didn't even have a church.
So wait a minute. You guys didn't have an idea that he bought a plane?
We didn't know until Creflo Dollar outed him in front of all of us at the Harvest Fire. We didn't have a clue.
Wow. I read an article that Brian Karn was in a lawsuit over some debt of a leased plane that they had.
I think I might have heard about that, and you guys somebody need to go pull the transcripts from that lawsuit between him and Demetrius Senegal. I'm waiting for some of y'all vloggers need to get on y'all game. Don't make me come out here and do it. I'm giving you content. I'm just saying y'all need
listen, you go ahead and do that one. You go ahead.
Yes, sir. On my sides, we are heavenly,
I mean, didn't Demetrius do a video or something?
Well, I don't like pulling people's court records. I just don't like doing that kind of stuff because that's just, I don't do that. But I think some of you vloggers, y'all need to investigate because Demetrius lost and now he got to pay that man over $500,000. That's a lot of money to be paying to Brian Karn.
Mm-hmm.
No, not Brian Karn. That's not to Brian Karn. That's going Demetrius lost to
that was the guy that married the 18-year-old.
Yeah, they married the 18-year-old. Right. Demetrius losing all the way around. He lost his wife. He lost his I'm gonna leave that alone too. Yeah. He lost all the way around. But there were so many things. No, and AJ, you know what they said? They said that we used to rent out this plane because we couldn't afford this plane. So we started renting out the plane, from what I was told, to people like Mariah Carey and all of these big celebrities were renting this private jet because we could not afford to keep it. As a church, we couldn't afford. You know how hard it is to keep an airplane, a private jet? Do you know how much money that costs every month?
Oh, fuel alone.
Yeah. And it has to fly.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So, and I'd stay away from that because I don't know about that stuff. I just know what I was told, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I do know that's what they said. But Creflo show did say we bought a plane. I remember that.
Wow.
Now I do remember that.
Imagine your pastor buys a plane and another pastor comes to tell you that your pastor bought a plane.
Well, yeah, but AJ, that's how you know Creflo is a liar too. Because y'all remember when Creflo was talking about he needed to get his plane replaced, right? Y'all remember he said he needed to get a plane replaced because his plane was too old. He had already sold one to Clarence. These people have more than one plane, and they be lying about it. They lie about it. You know how many planes that Kenneth Copeland has? He has a fleet of planes.
Yes.
These people lie. They lie. Now y'all pray for me. Y'all pray for me.
Oh my goodness. Let me say, listen, you got me interested in Demetri Senegal now. Let me pull him up because I remember when he was fighting with Brian Carn, and that thing was dirty. Ooh.
Oh yeah, it got deep. And that court, I'm sure we learned a lot in them court transcripts, but I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm sure there's a lot of information and nuggets in there. But I'm gonna tell you this. When it comes to Clarence McClendon, I don't trust him at all. He is a wicked man. He's a wicked, ungodly man. And I don't care what he says. If God says he's going to give us pastors after his own heart, if your pastor behaves in a certain way and moves in a certain way, that should prove to you and show you that he's not who he says he is. And he may not have the heart of God. You know what I'm saying? That's true. If I'm a member of your church and I serve you and I die and you refuse to even preach my funeral, what kind of pastor are you? Let the elders do it, and then he gonna quote a scripture if they're sick among you, he said call for the elders of the church. So I done set elders in place. Let the elders go do it.
Oh wow. Well, they quick to call on the elders when they don't want to do something, huh?
Right, but he'll marry all them celebrities. Montel Jordan and all the rest of them folks that was over there and had them weddings and stuff. Clarence likes to be in the limelight, just like Noel Jones.
Of course.
Wow.
You know, they marry these celebrities because who married DeBrat? I forget the preacher that married DeBrat. You remember?
I forget their name who married
Yeah, like these preachers are something else, bro. But I removed myself, and y'all pray for me because I don't want nothing else to do with these folks.
We sure will.
And yeah, I can't deal with it. But I'm gonna tell y'all the truth to the best of my ability. I am trying to tell you I ain't told no lie, you know, but these people are something else. And what kills me is now you let them come on the internet and fool you.
Wow.
Right.
All right, I'm seeing this Senegal story. You know, I'm a fact check.
Yeah, it's out there.
Yeah, it's been around for a while now.
Yeah.
And
it says court documents say back in 2021 that Reed married a 19-year-old member of his congregation. The following year, Senegal publicly attacked Reed online. And then it said Reed then sued Senegal, his nonprofit, and his church. Reed won the case, and Senegal will now pay Reed $690,000.
That is correct. Now, the Brian Carn thing, Demetrius sued Brian Carn in an old North Carolina law called alienation of affection.
Yes.
Right, because that law was still on the books. Yes. And so they had that whole lawsuit. Now, let me give you a little information on this while I'm talking about it.
Come on, tell us, Marcellus. Come on.
Y'all remember when Brian Carn first started the church, there was three pastors that got together to start this church. Demetrius Senegal was supposed to be their covering, right? Because because Demetrius likes to be everybody's covering, even though he's 2 years old and in elementary school himself, but he want to be everybody's covering. So what ends up happening is some kind of way Brian Carn and those preachers fall out. Also, who was over there with Brian Carn was Genesee Warren. Now, if y'all don't know who Genesee Warren is, Genesee Warren was the woman who got on the internet saying that Bishop Whitehead set up that whole robbery in his church. And that
she went on Larry Reed.
Yeah. I don't really mention his name over here. Yeah, we don't mention. Yeah, I don't mention his name. Oh yeah, it's okay. But since you don't mention it, I'll call his name. That Bishop Larry Dingleberry, crater face, climbing up the rough side of the mountain Reed. I'll mention his name since you mentioned his name. He got on there and they lied about Bishop Whitehead. Now I hear some other vloggers, and I ain't gonna call your name out. I'm gonna be nice tonight. Talking about all these vloggers running around here. Well, ain't nobody talking about me and this Bishop Whitehead story. And I told the truth. No, you didn't. You lied too, Mr. Vlogger. Let me tell you how you lied, Mr. Vlogger. Y'all said that Bishop Whitehead staged that entire robbery. Now, we all know that Bishop Whitehead was guilty of some of that other crap. We stayed away from the other side of that stuff, but y'all lied on that man when it came to talking about he staged that robbery. It was proven that they arrested those men, and I think one of them they shot and killed him because he was evading capture.
So yeah, it was a different case.
So you all did lie on Bishop Whitehead. Yes, you did lie. That man didn't set up that robbery at his church. He was literally robbed. Now, mind you, was he tacky? Was he too blingy? Was he doing all of that other illegal stuff that they say he did? I've always said over here, yes, he was. But let's call a spade a spade. If he was guilty, if he was honest about one thing, but he was wrong about the other, we could talk about both. There's two sides of the same coin. We don't have to say, oh, he was all the way around crooked. No, he was halfway crooked, like a halfway crook. He was a halfway crook. I'm just saying.
No, he was a lukewarm crook.
Right. Look, isn't that what Eminem said in the 8 Mile? He said, "You're a halfway crook."
Sure did.
I'm just saying. So don't come over here, vloggers, talking about y'all did not lie on Lamar Whitehead. Yes, y'all did.
Yes, y'all. Lamar Whitehead. That's a whole nother character right there, boy.
Yeah, and he deserved to go to jail. Let's tell the whole truth.
Absolutely, he should have been in jail a long time ago. I still remember the news video when his wife, she was on the news, and he come up looking like a Cheshire cat, smiling behind her because he had some publicity on there. It had nothing to do with him. They didn't even know who his name was. But I think that's the moment where he got a taste of that fame, and he was off to the running after that.
Wow. Well, and that's all of them.
Connected with Eric Adams too.
He was.
Yeah.
That's why they came. That's why I think this is my thought, allegedly, that's why they really came after Eric a lot harder, because after all this stuff that broke with Whitehead, and because Whitehead was pushing Eric's name around too much. Go ahead.
No. I wanted to tell you this, the juice. You know, Larry Craterface, Dr. Dingleberry on the rough side of the mountain Reed had the nerve to say that the FBI called him about Bishop Whitehead.
Okay.
Now, Bishop Whitehead got about 7 members in his church. He got a 12. Right. You know, he got a if you're lucky, if you're lucky.
On a good day.
What does Whitehead have that would merit the FBI getting in touch with a vlogger on YouTube?
Right.
What in the world would they be missing a puzzle piece where they would have to call somebody on YouTube to get the finishing touches on a case on Lamar Whitehead? Give me a break. You people, in my opinion, y'all thought y'all was gonna, because he was coming after y'all for soon with all them fake lawsuits. So y'all got on the horn and thought y'all would turn Lamar Whitehead in for whatever you decided to turn him in for, to get him off of your back and to cancel all of them lawsuits that he had against you. Okay.
So are you saying that the FBI did not necessarily call him, but they returned a call?
It was the other way around.
Yeah. In my opinion, that's my opinion. I don't think no FBI called him about no Lamar Whitehead of all people. When the FBI come after you, and I have to say it like Daryl Moore says it, when they get ready to file a case on you, it is the United States of America versus. So they got you from sea to shining sea. That's the way Daryl says it, from sea to shining sea. So you're gonna have to deal with it like that. So I don't believe those folks call him at all. And I think if you've been out here on these YouTube streets, and I try to stay away from certain people and topics, some people should just go shut up and leave people alone, because you got your own skeletons in your own closet, and you got your own stuff that you've done out here to people. and you should just leave folks alone. You know, and I should say it like this: if you've ever had to take a mug shot, if people can go pull up your mug shot on the internet, just be quiet. Just love on people. Just treat people kindly. Try to, you know, tell your stories and be nice and kind, you know. And I'm not saying you can't produce your content, but don't come out here calling other people criminals when you got mug shots, you know, and you got a wake of stuff in your past. I mean, you just shouldn't do that. I mean, I'm just saying. And I'll leave my comments there. I'm gonna leave it there.
I concur.
You better go on back over to McClendon.
No, you know what? And my friend and I were talking last night, and she said to me, she said, Marcellus, she said, he used to be so good. She says, I haven't paid him any attention. I said, me neither. And I said, I just cannot bring myself to go and do anything that has anything to do with that man. And I'm quite sure if I walked in the building right now, they'd probably have me escorted. They probably have me removed. I'm just saying, I'd probably be like some of them other members that used to come and start yelling at him from the congregation, and he would have them picked up and carried out. I mean, come on, you know. And I used to think that people were just crazy. Then people knew what he was doing. And there was one lady I'll never forget. She went ham on him one Sunday, and he had her escorted her right out in service.
Ooh.
In service. And we had this thing he called a convocation kind of meeting thing, just stupid stuff. And that's when he told us about selling the chicken dinners and selling all our jewelry and all of our stuff, you know, and bringing the money to the church. And I would never do that.
Selling your jewelry and bringing it to him.
That is correct.
He thought he was at the tabernacle, huh? Bringing, you know, one of the 12 tribes and all that.
I guess I would never do that. Like, I was like, this guy is really, well, like I said, when he started doing stuff like that, I said, oh, he's lost his mind. Because he told us way back in the day, he said, if you ever see me doing and saying this stuff, you know I done lost my mind. When he did that, I said, oh, he done went crazy.
Do you think that he was going broke at that time?
Well, no, because we're at the Palladium. Well, you got to keep in mind, he had his own separate offering. Okay. Right. So we were still giving money to sustain him, even through that whole process. Clarence had his own separate offering, and it wasn't nothing for Clarence not to walk out of there some Sundays with $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. One of my friends told me one time, he said he walked out of there when they went to the back to count the money, because you know they used to pour all the offering baskets in a trash bag. Okay, they would pour the offering in the trash bag, and then they would go and count the money in a separate room. $40,000. That's his offering. $40,000. You in California. This ain't Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This is California. Folks got money in California, and they give to their pastor. And you got to keep in mind, we got celebrities. You got Tia and Tamara. You got Smokey Robinson. You got Teresa Randall. You got the woman that used to be on the Jamie Foxx show, the dark skinned lady that played at the not her, the other lady. The woman that played the auntie or the mama, the other lady, the dark skinned lady, real pretty lady. Yeah. Her. We had all these celebrities. Trust me, the man made money. And you got to keep in mind, we still had Harvest Fire. Harvest Fire was our biggest convention. That was the biggest money maker. We did 3 conferences a year. We did Harvest Fire. We did a conference called ICE. We had our ICE conference, and then I forget what the other one was, because I told you I'm been removed. So I don't remember all that stuff. But those were our biggest money makers. And that's how I learned how to raise money for a church throughout the year. Do you all realize the reason why they have these conferences throughout the year is so that they can fund and maintain their ministries and their lifestyles throughout the course of the year? The Pastors and Leaders Conference, do you think they really care about other pastors and leaders? Because that's competition. Y'all don't, you
that is true.
Y'all don't realize. It's competition. So, but you know, that it is what it is, guys.
Wow.
Marcellus, it's been a pleasure to be up on the platform with you.
Yes.
Keep doing what you do. Keep doing a great job. I gotta go. I got some things to do tomorrow. You know, I'm a busy guy, but continue to do what you do, man. And I'm proud of you, man.
I appreciate you, brother. And I'm proud of you actually, because I watch what you do. You know, I be busy out there on them social media streets. I
I
don't
know you
have
be
time.
lurking. I know you be lurking.
Yeah. I don't have time to comment. But you see when I like or I put a happy face or a smile, that's letting you know I'm paying attention to what you're doing and I know what you're doing. And I appreciate that. Go, black man, go.
Of course.
Night,
You have a good night, ma'am. Have a good
All
night.
right. All right, sir.
night, AJ. Yes, listen, Marcellus, I appreciate you having me up on the platform as well. Listen, I love your commentary. I love your truth. Keep doing you. Keep, telling the truth and letting the people know, because some people may ignore it, but others are going to hear it and they're going to, make the right decisions after they hear you. But it's time for a lot of people to start saying some things that's happening in churches that are wrong, because too many times we were told don't say anything.
Right.
A lot of people were afraid. They feel like they were going to be cursed if they said anything. But actually, we're actually bringing damnation on ourselves when we don't speak up. And
Absolutely.
so you got to start speaking up. And I'm glad you're a platform that's doing that. We do that at the Juice Radio and Talk Show as well. And we have to start doing that. We are gone are the days when we used to just push stuff under the rug. We need to call it out now.
Absolutely.
And do that. And I'm glad you're doing that. And I'm very proud of you. And like I said, my husband loves your platform. He also loves St. James. You and St. James have to do another collaboration. Y'all are amazing. That video was really, really good.
Well,
Really good.
I came up that night because I just finished doing my live here on that Thursday, and he was
Yeah.
on live, and I said, "Oh, he on." I said, "Well, let me go over there and chat with him." Now, every now and then, here's the thing about me, and I want to say this about content creators. You know, a lot of content creators, it gets really messy. It just gets so messy.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to do with the help of the Lord is to stay away from the mess. Now, of course, I'm gonna say what I need to say because it's my platform and I can. Now, I choose not to call certain people by their name because I know you guys are looking for a fight. You just want to fight. I don't have that kind of energy. I'm too old and I'm tired. I'm too old. I don't have no alt against anybody. I don't forgave you. You need to forgive me. Move on. Now, but that Larry Craterface, Dr. Dingleberry on the rough side of the mountain reed.
What happened?
Listen here. I will forever talk about you until the day I die. You know what you did. I know what you did. I know who you are, and you know who you are. So you're not going to dare make me think I'm not going to talk about you. I'll talk about you as long as I live. And every now and then I'm going to make it a point to bring your name up and remind people of who you truly are. Oh, and by the way, speaking of planes, that raggedy plane that Bishop Bernard Jordan keeps flying around in, that he done had to make that emergency landing like a year or two ago in the tall grass. Y'all listen to me. Now,
oh my gosh,
when you got to rent out your church to other churches because you done lost your congregation, it should be a clue to you that this whole money fundraising stuff that you're doing and coming on the internet, where your congregation at? Where the people at? What happened to your church? Oh, that's a whole nother story. Y'all go do your research.
Oh my goodness.
Y'all go do your research. Don't listen to me. Go do your research. Where is Bernard Jordan worshiping at these days, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh my goodness. I have to say, I've met Larry a couple of times. He he wanted us to go to a church, and the gentleman's name is Pastor Dennis Martin, really great guy. And I went to his church and I met Larry. I can't say that I really know him personally, but I've met him. I've been on his platform, a couple of times. But I understand what a lot of people are saying. I don't get into the mess with content creation either. I'm an educated Black woman. So, we don't deal with stuff like that. We know how to move our business out of the mess. Even my motto on my channel is we're not here for the mess. We're here for the message.
Right.
So we just don't deal with that kind of stuff. But there are some things that, he has done and has said, and I inboxed him or message him, and I'm like, come on, we just got to do better.
Right.
But some people want to listen, some people don't. But
no, I'm fine with him having his voice.
Absolutely. And listen, I don't knock, you'd say your voice too, because sometimes people, when they want to get clicks, they end up getting on the bad side of people, and it's not really worth it. It's not worth it.
Well, first of all, I am a Christian, and I don't want to have all in my heart against anybody.
No.
And trust me,
Mm-mm.
I try to go before the Lord because I'm guarding my heart and my mind. See, this is
Yeah,
what a lot of y'all forget. Y'all forget you're supposed to guard your heart and your mind. See, the mind is important to God. I'm just saying.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, we always discrediting the mind, but you got to use your brain when it comes to some of these people.
Some
And
some of the conversations, absolutely. You can't just go based on it. I'm
right.
still waiting for this lawsuit that he said was coming out against TD Jakes regarding Manasseh. I'm like, Larry, why you do that to the guy? And I just
Well,
let me
I don't know. Only thing I'll say about TD Jakes is I went to a Manpower conference, the only one he ever had in California. I will never ever go to another conference that has anything to do with TD Jakes.
Mhm.
Uh, and I'll leave my comments there. He should turn his ministry over to his daughter because obviously, they're trying to maneuver some things around over there, or either they're trying to maneuver some
I think
things
he
around
has.
over there, or
Yeah.
yeah, or they're preparing for something. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
Something's going down over there. We don't quite
Yeah.
know what it is, but TD Jakes really moves in silence. He's
Yeah.
he's one of those preachers who moves in silence because he has a multi-million-dollar business and enterprise over there.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah.
you know what I'm
I
saying?
know
So
TD Jakes. I used to visit my grandmother in the hills of West Virginia, and TD Jakes was her pastor. And so when we were young, we used to go to TD Jakes. So we're familiar with TD Jakes. We used to attend every summer when we would go to visit my grandmother in West Virginia. We would go to church, TD Jakes Church, a little church on the hill. And I remember when TD Jakes, he would always stand at the door and greet us all. And I remember very specifically, being this tall guy and he had the little tattered pants. Sometimes the guys walk on the back of their pants and it
right.
tattered. He was very, he's very humble, guy.
Humble.
He was
Hmm.
very humble back. He was very humble back then.
Right.
And so, I understand, with money and wealth and fame and all that stuff, people change. But back then, he was one of the good guys. My grandmother was actually one of his founding mothers of the church. And my cousin, to this day, my cousin is very disappointed and upset with Bishop T.D. Jakes because when my grandmother passed away, she said Bishop T.D. Jakes nor anybody from the church came or sent anything regarding when my grandmother passed away. And my grandmother
Mm.
was 98 when she passed away.
Wow.
She
Wow.
had been, she helped, push, everything that went on with that. So, sometimes people forget the people that help them, the people that are there for them, and they get so big and so high and so
Yeah.
mighty. But, I just
But
keep them all in prayer. I don't have time to have, like you said, that out in my heart
yeah.
about stuff like that. I'm not doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I don't want to be that way. I'm
No.
in the bushes sometimes with some of these content creators like you all are.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just shake my head because I keep saying to myself, if you don't want to fight, get out of the ring.
Right.
Just get out of the ring.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep complaining talking about everybody's messing with you. Just ignore them.
Yeah.
Just do what I'm doing. I'm ignoring you. I'm over
Yeah.
here in my little space, in my little place and world. I talk
Yeah.
to the folks that follow me, the folks that come to the channel. We love on each other, go about our business. Just stop fighting. You can do it if you want to do it, but you don't want to do it. You want to fight, you want to cuss, you want to fuss. Because if you didn't want to do it, you wouldn't do it. Just stop.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I saw that. I saw that too. I'm like you, but I'm a little more bolder. I come out the bush every now and then and put a little comment in there. I try to be the auntie sometime in the comments because I'm like, this stuff is but sometimes they try and grab you in. They do a
Right,
lot of stuff, to try and get those numbers. And sometimes they
right.
call each other after and be like, were we real enough? Were we real enough? So sometimes you got to
Yeah.
be careful because you may be
Yeah.
part of the scene, act, and play.
Yeah. I'm sure I will, but like
Mhm.
I tell all the moderators and folks, I won't know because I don't see it. Some stuff I just don't see it because when I get done with this live right now, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
get me something to eat and I'll be in my car going somewhere else, and because I won't see it, except for the moderators when they call me on the live. But I appreciate you coming up. I can't believe I've been on here for almost 3 hours. Lord of mercy.
See, it's
Now,
time to go. I left my handsome husband in the bed to come over here in my studio, so I'm gonna go back to my handsome husband.
now listen here. For those of you hard time for crying. I normally do not cry on these lives. I try to force myself not to do that. Now, I used to cry on the radio all the time, but you couldn't see my face. So,
Oh, you did radio too?
Oh, yes, I did. Absolutely.
Yes, I did radio as well. Yes.
Now, let me tell you something. I didn't mean to go there, but it gets to me because I remember the people who served in ministry with Clarence and who worked hard in the ministry, and they gave their life to the ministry. And for him to do what he did, it blew my mind. I do want to.
It just shows your realness, you know, and your care. You still have that love and that care, even though, like you said, you know, McClendon did so many horrible things. You still have a heart for the people, and people like you will come out and they will fight when others won't.
Yeah.
So don't be ashamed of the tears. You know, my husband and I saw it, and when we pray, you know, that's what we do. We pray for your strength. And my husband, he got a little upset. He says, he put this timer for 5 minutes. I said, babe, calm down. He's coming back. He says, I need him to come back down. I need to finish hearing him. I said, babe, he's going to be back before them 5 minutes.
Listen,
So,
I came back before the 5 minutes because I don't
Yes.
there's two things I don't like doing online. I don't like eating online, and I do not like crying online. So
it was heartfelt. It was a heartfelt cry.
You know,
so it's
so
okay.
I had to gather myself and just take a moment. But I love and appreciate all of you guys. Thank y'all so much for supporting the Mad Church Disease channel. I had almost over 600-700 of y'all. Can y'all please make sure y'all hit the live? Don't let me log off tonight and have 100 or so live likes. Can y'all please hit the button? It's free. It don't cost you nothing. I really, really would appreciate y'all doing that. It would really mean the world to me. Thank y'all so much for coming to the Mad Church channel. I will see you guys probably before the end of the week because I'm sure some people gonna hit me up and y'all gonna have a million questions for me about what I said. And now, Clarence, leave Kamala Harris alone. You are in no position to be talking about somebody is ungodly. You're just not in that position. And I'm sorry, sir. The truth is just the truth.
Mad Church Disease, a channel that's all about current events, news, and Christian drama. A channel that's dedicated to our forgotten brothers and sisters throughout the ages. Our brothers and sisters who courageously stepped outside the safe bounds of institutional Christianity to tell the truth. A channel whose goal is to help the average person understand that Jesus plus nothing is everything. So like, comment, subscribe, and smash the notifications button to be a part of this channel.